So you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss Everyday Happy Hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. 800-598-0539. That's 800-598-0539.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
The voice of Sacramento sports is back.
Hear Grant Napear every weekday beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
And a good afternoon. We wrap up the week right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Friday means a big football week, but it also means Sacramento Kings as they are in the Pacific Northwest. They take on the Blazers this evening, and we'll see if they can have a better showing than they did 48 hours ago at home in an ugly performance against the Toronto Raptors. So we'll talk about that as well. Rhino and yours truly will have our 4 NFL picks, and we'll announce the winner of this week's $100 gift card from Bennett's. We'll have our 4 picks in hour number 3. And then you can give us your 4 picks via social media. We'll tell you how to do it. And maybe next week, you will be receiving a $100 gift card from Bennett's Restaurants. So I did a rant on this morning. Last night, the New York Giants beat the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17 in what I really looked at as the most optimistic, energized, use all the adjectives that you want, uplifting. As a lifelong Giants fan and a very tough period of time since the Giants won the last Super Bowl in 2011, only one playoff win during that time, and they've been really bad with a revolving door of coaches and bringing in a new general manager or managers, new quarterbacks. You know, it's been a mess. And last night, and I saw it against the Chargers, And even though the Giants turned the ball over 5 times last week in the game against the New Orleans Saints, I saw glimpses of what I thought could be a franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart. And then after watching him play last night against the Philadelphia Eagles, which I thought was a near perfect game, and the excitement and the energy in that stadium is something that I have not seen in a long, long time. And then, of course, you have Rio Linda's Cam Scatterbo, who was at Sacramento State before going to Arizona State. And he has already become a folk hero. He's already become somebody that is a household name in the sports world of New York. All right. I guarantee you that in all the office buildings and the streets of New York today, the talk is about Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. Guarantee it. It's all over the tabloids. It is all over talk radio. It is now a city that has been starving for something to hang their hat on, because the Jets are an embarrassment. The Giants have been an embarrassment. And you finally have hope. And so I wanted to talk about this from a Sacramento perspective. And I want to ask you if you can draw a parallel, not yet, but hopefully in a couple of weeks or months. So you had Jackson Dart, who didn't really step onto the field other than a snapper here. You had him on the sidelines for 3 weeks. You had Cam Scatterbo, who was used sparingly in the first couple of games. You had their number one running back go down with a shoulder injury, which turned around the depth chart at running back for the New York Giants. Enter number 44, Cam Scatterbo, who runs over people, runs through people, and regardless of whether he was on the Giants or the Raiders or the 49ers or the Bears, that type of player becomes an instant fan favorite. Doesn't matter where he would have been drafted and where he would have ended up playing, he would become an instant fan favorite because he plays the game the way a fan wants to see the game played. All out, with pizzazz, with energy, with flair. And, oh yeah, one other thing, he's really, really good. And so I'm watching the game last night as somebody that's been watching New York Giant football since I was 3 years old. And I've been through a lot of different eras with different generations of players. And I've seen the best 4 Super Bowls, and I have seen the worst, which has been really over many stretches of my viewership of the Giants, not only during the last 10 years or so, but throughout the 60s and the 70s. The Giants were one of the worst teams in the NFL. So I've seen it all. All right? I've seen it all. What I saw last night was hope. And as a football fan, as a sports fan of my favorite team, what I want is hope. I want something to put my hat on. I want something that I can look at and say to myself, wow, okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, especially when you're talking about the quarterback position. In the NBA, it would be the equivalent of having a dominant big man or a point guard, right? Like if you get a really good point guard, like if you were the Oklahoma City Thunder and you picked up Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in a trade from the Clippers and you watched him develop, you would say, wow, we finally have our guy that can get us to the promised land. And he did. So I look at the Kings, who have been terrible with the exception of one season of making the playoffs since 2006. I mean, they've been awful. And I'm looking at this team and I'm saying to myself, where can you hang your hat on if you're the Sacramento Kings, right? Can you hang your hat on anyone not, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but can you hang your hat on Zach LaVine? No. Can you hang your hat on DeMar DeRozan? No. Right? Are you going to hang your hat on Dennis Schroeder? No. Are you going to hang your hat on Malik Monk? No. Are you going to hang your hat on Sabonis? Maybe, because he's an all-star caliber player. He's somebody that, delivers night in, night out. Are you going to hang your hat on Keegan Murray? There are too many Kings fans that would say no. But what about you two rookies? What about Nick Clifford and the glimpses of what you saw in Summer League? And what would happen if that would translate to the big guys with the big boys in the NBA, which started the other night against Toronto? Could he be a guy that you are going to hang your hat on if you're a Sacramento Kings fan? Now, I know we've been down this road before, most recently with De'Aaron Fox, and he doesn't play for you anymore, right? Because 3 years ago, let's just call it the way it is. All right? You were hanging your hat on number 5. You were saying, okay, that's the guy that's going to give you a playoff team every year. Okay, 3 years ago, 48 wins. He had the great playoff series against the Warriors until he broke his finger. And you were saying that's a guy you can hang your hat on that you know or think you know is going to get your team over the hump into a land of respectability and maybe even deep into the playoffs. Who do you have on the team right now that you would say that about? That you've seen play? Not who you think will be good, but that you've seen play. And I would answer the question this way. There's really nobody that you would hang your hat on the present roster. In other words, somebody that you look at and you go, that's the guy, right? I watched the game last night, and I've watched Jackson Dart play his previous 2 starts, and I have said to myself, I think that's the guy. Last night, after watching the game against Philadelphia, I said to myself, that's the guy. And I'll talk about Cam Scatterbo in a moment. And because of the position that Cam plays and the show life, especially with the way he runs, I don't know if I can hang my hat on him, but he is giving the New York fans what they have been thirsty for many years. All right? He has every characteristic that a New York sports fan wants. And I would say probably other fan bases around America too. But because of his position and because of the way he plays, I don't know if you can hang your hat on him, but he is somebody that has completely re-energized the franchise and the fan base with how he plays. But Jackson Dart, you can hang your hat on. Do you think that a month from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, we're going to be saying that about Nick Clifford, right? You had a player that you could have put into that category that you thought, and we all kind of had him forecasted for this with Tyrese Halliburton. I remember when Halliburton was with the Kings right before he was moved, people were talking about this guy's going to be really good. He was projected as somebody that had an unbelievable ceiling, that would be an all-star someday. But, well, could he play with Fox? Could Fox play with him, right? That wasn't that long ago, all right? That's what we were talking about. You need a franchise player. You need a player that you can hang your hat on. Do the Kings have that player right now? And yet we just don't know for sure for obvious reasons. But do you think that the narrative will be Nick Clifford can be that guy? We don't know yet. He has the tools in his toolbox. He has to put it all together. He needs experience. I mean, he needs a lot of things. But you just watch him play. You look at his feel for the game. And you see all of the different tools in his toolbox. And you ask yourself, could he be that guy? I'm not asking myself if Jackson Dart can be that guy anymore as a Giants fan. Not that I'm going to take a quarterback that's in his rookie year, who's played 3 games, and annoyed him into the same category as Phil Simms and Eli Manning. And I'm not ready to do that yet. But what I am saying is, as a fan, I'm looking at somebody that has given me renewed hope for a team that I root for and I love. Could Nick Clifford or Max Reno be that for the Sacramento Kings? I want to get your reaction to that at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. Let's get to some phone calls right here on this Friday edition of the Grant Napear Show with Brian in Roseville. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Grant. How you doing?
I'm good, Brian. What's happening?
I loved watching the Philadelphia Eagles get their butts kicked last night, and super stoked about our local kid, Cam Scattaboo, out of Sac State, Rio Linda. I know I talked to you preseason, and I told you I thought he was going to be a pick. Still want to know if you think it's a premature call or you like the kid.
Well, there's nothing about him I don't like. After watching him play, he wasn't at the top of the depth chart coming out of training camp, but you knew he was going to be used on short yardage situations. But now he's being used as pretty much an every down back or close to that. They have Tracy, who came back last night. You have Devin Singletary, who also is in the mix. And you don't have Malik Neighbors now, your number one wideout. So the Giants now are more of a running team because they have a quarterback that's very elusive. But there's nothing about Scattaboo I don't like, with this one exception. Okay. And this is how he plays, and it's not going to change. But I wonder, okay, with his mentality of even when he knows that he is not going to gain an extra yard, he takes massive contact to try to win a one-on-one battle with a defender, even when he's going out of bounds, instead of just going out of bounds. And I just wonder, Brian, when I watch running backs in the National Football League, he runs like Earl Campbell did. I don't know if you remember Earl Campbell with the Houston Oilers. And running backs like that are taking massive hits and giving massive hits, their show life in the NFL is not very long. And so that's the only thing that concerns me when I look at Scattaboo and his future with the Giants. His style of running is not conducive to longevity. But other than that, I don't have any negatives about him.
Well, maybe they make a short-term run in the next couple of years, because I love Jackson Dart. Wilson's career is over.
His
you
over.
saw the reception he got from the Giants.
Yep, it's over. Listen, Jackson Dart is the present, and he's the future of the New York Giants. I think he's already, in 3 weeks, shown the organization that they were worthy of moving up to take him in the first round. And I don't really think there's any doubts about that. He has all of the characteristics that you want, especially in that market, of leadership. He's great with the media. He gets it. He seems to be a veteran that's a rookie. In other words, he has the intangibles, not of a rookie, as of a veteran, which you need to have if you're going to be successful at the quarterback position in the New York market.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. As a Niners fan, I'm even rooting for the Giants just because I love seeing that combination between Scattaboo and Dart. A lot of fun.
Thank you very much. Hey,
Thanks
Brian,
for
have a
taking my
great
call.
weekend. Hey, thank you. That was a good call. So, again, I talk about hope if you are a fan of a franchise that's not very good. Isn't it interesting, and I would raise my hand high in the air for this, that entering this season without knowing anything about Jackson Dart or Cam Scattaboo or any other player, I didn't have any hope. You heard me even last week after the Giants lost to the Saints. And I was talking about the future of Brian Dable, and I was talking about, the franchise just can't seem to get it right. And I wasn't really talking about Jackson Dart. I was just talking about the franchise as a whole. Isn't it amazing what one player, and I'll leave Cam Scattaboo on the back burner right now. Isn't it amazing what one player at a key position can do for a franchise and a fan base? Did you watch the game last night? Did you see the fans? Did you see the scene? That looked like a team that was a perennial winner over the last few years. That didn't look like a team that was 1-4, okay? That didn't look like a team that was 1-4. If you had turned the TV on and you didn't know anything at all about the Giants, all right, you didn't know what their record was, you didn't know how bad they've been over the last couple of years, you would have walked away from that game and you would have said, that's a really, really good football team, right? That's how they looked last night. Now, one game doesn't make a season. It doesn't change around the entire franchise. But what it does is it gives you a glimpse of what the future may be. And if you are talking about in the NFL a quarterback position, what do you need to be successful in the NFL? You need a franchise quarterback. It looks like the Giants have a franchise quarterback. Let's get to Anita right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Anita, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great, Grant. Good afternoon to you, too.
Thanks for calling, Anita. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was actually going to mention a couple of things. First, you mentioned it already, and I was just going to say that Scatterboo reminds me of Earl Campbell from the Houston Oilers back in the day.
Yeah.
And, you'd watch him drag 3 or 4 guys for extra yardage down the field, and you would just marvel, and it was exciting, and it was fun. And I'm so excited for Giant fans because, like you said, it gives people something to be excited about. And then you got a quarterback that looks like you will be able to hang your hat on. And really, that's all fans want. Come out there and compete, play hard, and just have fun. And it's fun for the fans, too. And so I'm super excited for all of you Giant fans. That's great.
Well, thank you. I'm happy that you remember Earl Campbell and how he played because he was as unique as any running back during that entire era. And maybe Bum Phillips, who was the head coach of the Houston Oilers back then, had one of the great lines, Anita, about Earl Campbell. He said he may not be in a class by himself, but it doesn't take long to call the roll. Earl was so unique. There was only a handful of players, I think, ever in the history of the NFL that ran like Earl Campbell. When Earl Campbell was in his prime, Anita, and you remember this, he was must-see TV. He was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. We were all Cowboys fans, but we watched the Oilers whenever, they were on TV. Back then, they only had so many channels.
Sure.
We were going to catch the Oilers and just, marvel at what, how many people, was he going to drag, holding onto his legs and his back and his neck down the field. It was just exciting, and he was fabulous to watch. And so I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm glad some of us still remember him.
Well, it also means we're getting up there in age, Anita. I don't know if that's a good thing. If I'm talking about Earl Campbell, I'm like, you know what? What's wrong with me, Anita? What's wrong with me?
Yeah, well, we're not talking about the Steel Curtain or Too Tall Jones or Tom Landry, but that's the era. That was a unique era. I'm telling you, that was some fabulous football in those days.
Well, I've talked, Anita. Anita, you know this. I've talked so much about being a young kid and going to Yankee Stadium when the Cowboys came into town. And to this day, I remember watching Roger Staubach, Calvin Hill, Bob Hayes. And I remember Bob Hayes so well because he was, at the time, the fastest human in the world because he was also in track and field and won the 100 in the Olympics. And like for me as a kid, going to watch Bob Hayes, like I just couldn't wait to watch the fastest man in the world play. And then with Staubach, those were some great memories for me as a kid watching games in person.
Yeah, I didn't know he was considered the fastest man in the world at the time.
Yes.
And, but that's what I love about you, Grant, because you have your favorite team, but you can recognize talent.
Oh, yeah.
And speak about talent, whether they're on your team or not. And I'm the same way, so, we can talk shop like that. And that's what I appreciate about you is that you don't have blinders on. When your team stinks, you say it. And when you see hope, you recognize it and you say it. I'm the same way. And so, I hope that you guys can hang your hat on Dart. And I hope that Scatterboot is everything that they look like to be. It's going to be a fun run for, but it's fun for football. So it was fun to watch that game last night. Just
it was
as a
great.
fan. So thanks, Grant. And
thank you.
I can't
Thank
say
you.
we can hang our hat on DPS, but we'll find out.
Anita, you have a
Okay,
great
bye-bye.
weekend. Good hearing from you. She's great. I love talking to Anita. Love that. Hey, I also really enjoy talking about businesses that are family owned, that have such great reviews and have won awards. Like I love that. And when I met Nick from DAS Mechanical last month and sat down with him and learned about his business model and, explored further, I was like, wow, okay, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems. And I went on their website and I spent time and I read all of their 5-star reviews. And then I did a little bit more research on all of the best awards that they have received. And I'm like, okay, I get it. dasmechanical.org. And right now, you can take advantage of a special through the end of November. Now, right now, you're outside and you're like, hey, it's beautiful. You're not thinking about wearing a sweater. You're not thinking about cold weather. You're thinking about, gee, I love this time of the year. But there's going to come a time when you want to turn that heater on. And will it work? Will it work efficiently? Take advantage of the $69 winter checkup, all right? And know that everything's going to be fine for the chilly months right around the corner. Homeowners, businesses for commercial maintenance, DAS Mechanical is there for you. Go to dasmechanical.org. That's D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. Schedule your appointment online. And if you should need a new unit, remember there are rebates up to $6,000. And when you're talking about financing options, how about 0% interest for 18 months available? dasmechanical.org. Schedule your appointment online. Phone calls and more of this conversation when we return at 916-779-0929. The Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hey, come on in.
Hi, Jack, in our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs?
No subs?
Yeah, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets, countertops, plumbing, drywall, electric, and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he sub-osed to?
Well, you mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouth-watering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
Great if life came with a remote control. You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hope you're on your way to a great weekend. 916-779-0929. You know, belief is something that we all want as sports fans, right? You know, the headline in the New York Post today, one of many, says what we learned from the Giants' Week 6 win over the Eagles when fans started to believe. I remember in 98, 99, and I remember the Kings had just the season before. It was really the first time that the arena looked more empty than full at Arco. And we had the year after year after year after year of consecutive sellouts, right? It was a big deal. It was a real talking point. And then at the end of the decade, before the turn of the century, things started to go really, really bad and south. And you had a disgruntled Mitch Richmond. You had fans that were absolutely fed up. You had fans that weren't going to the games. There was no belief, none. It was just like, what has happened? And then the Kings made a bunch of moves. They drafted Jason Williams out of Florida. They traded Mitch Richmond to Washington for Chris Webber, which was very controversial at the time. Would Chris come to Sacramento? Would he want to play in Sacramento? And then they signed, Jeff Petrie did, Vlade Divac from Charlotte to a 6-year, $60 million free agent contract. And I'll never forget this period of time during that season because there was a lockout. And the first game was not until February 5th. And it turned into a 50-game season. And I remember the year very well because during that time I was flying back and forth 3 times a month to host both Saturday and Sunday night game night on ESPN radio. And so I would get off the air at 7 o'clock on Friday. I would go home. I'd eat dinner, take a shower, pack a small bag, head to the airport, take the red eye through Chicago, then go to Hartford, go to the rental car, get in the car, drive 20 minutes to Bristol, check into the hotel across the street, get a 4-hour nap, and go to work. And that was an amazing period of time in my life. Amazing. I've shared with you some of the stories that I can't really even believe that I did and the great people that I met. But I remember some of the other hosts that I worked with talking to me about all the moves that the Kings had played and whether or not Chris Webber would really come to Sacramento and play, or would he just like not want to report and all of that. That was the talk. All right. And when February 5th opened the season, I'll never forget what it was like to have hope again. Because that's what you want as a sports fan when you root for a team. You want hope. And you don't want someone telling you about hope. You want to see it with your own eyes. You want to hear it with your ears. You want to experience it yourself. You don't want to be brainwashed by the nonsense that comes out of a lot of organizations, general managers, and head coaches. That's not what you want as a sports fan. As a sports fan, you want hope and you want belief based on what you're looking at. Okay? Because you've been watching sports and you know what's real and you know what's BS. And it was only about a week to 2 weeks of watching the Kings play with that group that not only me, but the entire fan base started to have hope because they saw it unfold. And the Kings that year won 27 games, and they went to a Game 5 against Stockton and Malone and almost won Game 5. Vlade missed a little hook in the lane that would have won it at the buzzer. And then the Kings lost Game 5, all right, in overtime. Had they won, they would have gone on and played Portland. But at the end of that 50-game season, and really through the 50-game season, you saw that, wow, there's real hope. It wasn't manufactured hope. It wasn't hope based on what people were telling you. You saw it. You watched it. You heard it. And that was the start of a glorious, I think glorious, even though the Kings couldn't get to the finals, but it was overnight that the Kings went from a pathetic team a team that fans had stopped going to watch, and overnight became the darlings of the NBA. Remember the cover on Sports Illustrated? Right? The starting five on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And the caption on it was something like, the game the way it ought to be played. It was something like that. And you're like, wow. What, like, am I dreaming? They've got the Kings starting five on the cover of Sports Illustrated? Like, how does that happen? That's what happened, though. You had hope. You had something you could hang your hat on, but it was real, and it wasn't somebody trying to brainwash you. Well, that's what I saw last night. I saw a player and players that I'm looking at, and I'm like, that's what we've been missing as a fan base, that I can now get behind and see the light at the end of the tunnel. You got to have light at the end of the tunnel. You got to have light. All right, let's get to Brian in Auburn. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Grant. Yeah, and speaking of light, I thought we were there or getting there when we lost Game 7 against the Warriors. I thought we had that player in Fox. Up until that finger injury in that series, he was kind of establishing himself as that player that every franchise wants and needs. And unfortunately, with that injury, that may have cost us the series, but that was a fantastic coming out party for Fox and the Kings, at least as being relevant again. And the following year, we did not build on that team. We drafted a player who was injured. We didn't add the pieces to build off that. And of course, we know the story, everything unraveled. And the problem is, even if we have that player, I'm always worried about Vivek meddling and screwing things up. And that's the sad thing as a Kings fan. And, I would love for one of these two rookies to be that next guy. But, I felt we were close 2 years ago. And with him as the owner, and he can't help himself but meddle, I just, short term, you want that. But in the back of my mind, as long as he's the owner, I just feel like he's always going to screw it up. And I hate to say it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Brian. I mean, the track record is such that you can't believe it any other way. I mean, it's right there for everyone. And that is a big concern. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, and with this group, the pieces just don't fit, in my opinion. Just with these players, they're old. We're not athletic. These core pieces. The puzzle's just. I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm just less than optimistic.
Yeah, I'm with you. It doesn't fit. I'm with you.
Yeah, and like you said, at some point, if this is not working, I'd rather know sooner than later. Maybe make some trades, get the young guys on the court, and at least just, I'd rather have a 25 to 30 win team versus 40 in no man's land.
Yeah. Brian, have a good weekend. I appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. If you want to get in on the program, 916-779-0929. You can use that to text me. I just got a text message. Thank you for the help on this. The headline was the greatest show on court, Sacramento Kings. You're exactly right. And underneath, I think the caption was the game the way it ought to be played. And it was fascinating. I talk about hope, right? In my experience of the teams that I have loved since I was a little boy. And when the Rangers got Mark Messier in the early 90s, Mark Messier, if you're not a hockey fan, other than Wayne Gretzky during that era, may have been the best hockey player in the National Hockey League, who had won Stanley Cups with Edmonton and was basically second fiddle to Wayne Gretzky. But if it weren't for Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier would have been labeled the greatest player in the National Hockey League. And I'll never forget this. In 1994, when the Rangers won their Stanley Cup for the first time since 1940, the Rangers were down in the series to the New Jersey Devils. And the game was in New Jersey. And it was an elimination game. And Mark Messier came out before the game and guaranteed a win. All over the tabloids, on WFAN radio. That's all anyone was talking about. Mark Messier guarantees the win. and Stephen Matteau gets the game winner, and it was an unbelievable scene. The Rangers ended up winning that series. They advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals, and they won a thrilling 7-game series against Vancouver, 3-2 in Game 7 at the Garden. And Mark Messier was the reason why Rangers fans had hope that season. Like, hope is a great thing. And so I really do want to ask you, when you look at this Kings team, who are you putting your hat on? I've had that feeling a number of times. I just told you in the 98-99 season, I watched it. I'm announcing all the games, and I'm like, this team can be really special. I had hope. You had hope if you were a fan of the franchise back then, if you were alive, if you were old enough. Hope is a beautiful thing. I had that same feeling when I was at the game at Texas Stadium in Irving with my two boys. Cowboys were number 1 seed. Tony Romo, Jerry Jones, all right, number 1 seed, was so confident that the Cowboys were going to beat the Giants in their first playoff game that he left He left tickets on all of the chairs in the Cowboys locker room, the championship tickets for the following week. And I'll never forget the Giants going into that game as a big underdog, number 1 seed. The Giants had played the week before, and they beat the Dallas Cowboys. And then the Giants would go on to Green Bay and win that frigid game. And that was Brett Favre's last game as a Green Bay Packer. But I'll never forget being in that game and saying to myself, as I walked out, I had watched a quarterback that I knew was special. Like, Eli Manning played so incredibly well in that game, and he had just played incredibly well the week before. But to see it with my eyes in person and feel it and watch how he surveyed the field, because I was in the end zone, which I actually love because you can really see everything develop, and it's a great vantage point to watch football. I really have enjoyed that. And I'll never forget walking out of that stadium, not only with euphoria because the Giants had beat the Cowboys. Sorry, Anita. But I had hope because I watched somebody that I knew. Wow, okay, you got a franchise quarterback that not only can have the fourth quarter comebacks in the regular season, but wow, I have somebody that can get you to the promised land. And he did not once, but twice. We'll talk more about this at 916-779-0929. What do you think about hope? Do you have hope with the Kings? If so, who's the player that you're hanging your hat on? That's next right here, the Grant Napear Show, Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic dealing with some issues out on US 50 eastbound at 59th Street. That shoulder is blocked by an accident scene. And then we got an earlier problem on US 50 right on the approach to the Capital City Freeway with a disabled vehicle that should be just about wrapped up. Heavy delays on Cap City Freeway in between Marconi Avenue as you make your way down to about Exposition Boulevard, adding about 15, maybe even 20 minutes of drive time through there. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Start your weekend off right with Bennett's Bubbles and Brunch. Every Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 2, enjoy 2 entrees and a bottle of Prosecco for just $49. Indulge in favorites like our Dungeness crab omelet, country fried steak, or eggs Benedict. Whether you're celebrating, catching up with friends, or just treating yourself, brunch at Bennett's is always the right occasion. Come raise a glass, your table is waiting. Reserve now at bennettsrestaurants.com. That's bennettsrestaurants.com.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabroods, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabroods for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabroods, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabroods, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabroods.com.
Downtown Ford of Sacramento is celebrating the fall by getting you equipped for a winter road trip. And if you're headed up 50 or 80 into those gorgeous Sierras, get there safely in a new or certified pre-owned 4x4 from Downtown Ford. Our lot on Howe Avenue is loaded with super clean pre-owned trucks and SUVs ready for the snow. F-150s, Rangers, Explorers, and the super hot Ford Maverick. And if there's a particular type of vehicle you've dreamed of owning someday, Downtown Ford probably has a used version of that same vehicle for a substantially lower price. Downtown Ford backs our pre-owned vehicles with an available 10-year, 100,000-mile extended service contract. We're the oldest Ford dealership in California, and we're super proud of our heritage of providing great American Ford cars and trucks to the people of Sacramento for more than a century. Visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Listen up, guys. Are you experiencing any of the following? Fatigue, less drive, poor performance? If so, you may be one of the nearly 30 million men in the U.S. today dealing with ED. But did you know you don't have to pay hundreds for a prescription anymore? And you don't have to deal with the hassle of seeing the doctor or the embarrassment of going to the pharmacy for a certain pill. Now, with one free call, you can find out how Herbal Virility Max can help you feel like a man again. For over a decade, Herbal Virility Max has helped guys just like you put a smile back on their face with improved performance and drive. Call today and ask about our buy one, get one free offer.
800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. 800-690-8445. That's 800-690-8445.
Nine 916-779-0929 if you want to text the show or get on the program. Kings and Blazers tonight. Rhino in Sacktown joining me here as we will be bringing you a post-game show tonight over on our YouTube channel if you don't like that. So right after the Kings Blazers join us, and we will be doing that for all 82 regular season games this year. Ryan, you know what I mean about hanging your hat on somebody? So if I asked you, is there a player right now on the Kings that you can hang your hat on, how would you answer that question?
Yes.
Who?
Straight up, yes. Neat Clifford is the first player, and I said this at the end of Summer League before I've spent time around him now. He is the first rookie that has come in that reminds me personality-wise, IQ-wise of Tyrese Halliburton. And it's one of those things before they hit the court, you know or you don't know. And for me, I feel like he is a guy that I am behind 100%.
So you see special next to his name, right? Because what we're talking about, when you mention Tyrese Halliburton, he is a special player. And I think even back when the Kings had him, they knew he was special, but they went out and got what they also felt was another special player in Sabonis. And in all fairness, I think Sabonis is special. I mean, he may not be like, because of the position he plays, I equate it to football. He may not be your quarterback, right? He may be your top wide receiver or your edge rusher, but he's not your quarterback. Halliburton was your quarterback. Can Neat Clifford be your quarterback?
Yes. I think the organization already is seeing that. I think the organization had a feeling he could be that. We have heard a ton about him running the point. Through one game, he had 9 assists, no turnovers. I don't put a ton of weight into that. What I put a ton of weight in is how he can be anywhere on the floor, and look at how he elevated the guys he was playing with in that fourth quarter. And we saw that also throughout the summer, despite those last 2 games. The kid knows his spots. I just think what you said hits. He's a special player. He's just different. You're built with it or you're not. And I hope we see that and the fans see that as the season progresses.
I would love to see him start one of these preseason games just to mix it up, just to see. I mean, I really would. Now, I know Doug has said, we don't, and I'm paraphrasing what Doug said, with only 4 preseason games, you're more limited to what you can do in terms of playing certain guys. In other words, he was talking about players maybe at the end of the bench and so on and so forth. And with how bad the Kings were against the Raptors, that also may change Doug's thought process. And I only have 3 more chances to really get this tuned in before we play Phoenix. So it's going to be interesting to see how Doug coaches this game tonight. I will be I shouldn't say I'll be very surprised, because I know that a lot of veterans don't really care about preseason no matter what they say. But Malik Monk guaranteed that this would be, a team that we would, it would be the Kings team that you thought you were going to see the other night. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and I'm with you. That is what I'm paying attention to the most. I, want to see Dennis Schroeder just play a little bit better. I want to see the offense run smooth. But more importantly, I want to see if Doug sticks to a script like he did at least through the first half of Wednesday, or if he's going to mix things up on the front line. Because Portland is so big, this is the perfect game to see what IJ can do against Klingon, against Hansen. Same thing with Dylan Cardwell. So it's going to be an interesting watch. I think we see a better version of the Kings.
Yeah. And we have to wait and see who's playing. I mean, from Portland's perspective, like the other night, the lineups come out and you see that they don't have 2 starters on the floor and their best players. So let's generally speaking, at home, you play your players because of your fans in the preseason. If you're not going to play guys in the preseason, you do it on the road as opposed to at home, because it is preseason. And, the fans that do go to the games, that do make the effort in preseason, you want to at least let them see the guys on your team. So we'll see. Well, I would expect the Blazers to play their guys. I'm looking at Portland this year, Ryan, and I think they're right there. I think they are going to be knocking on the door for a play-in. I don't think they're above that, but I could see them being a 9th or 10th seed this year. I think they're good enough.
I think that's the expectation within the building as they have gone along this rebuild, and by all accounts, it's gone exactly to plan. So, yeah, I'm with you in this West. It'll be funny. I do want to ask you, though, because going back to the Giants, and I'm glad that you have hope. That's a beautiful thing as a sports fan. I'm not as worried about Scatterboo as I am your quarterback. I think Scatterboo has ran that way all of his life. His body's used to it.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter whether your body's used to it or not. Your body is still the body, and you only have so many hits within a body. It's really no different than a boxer. It's really no different than somebody that is in a big time collision sport. I mean, you can be used to it, but doesn't mean that your body's not like the body next to you. I mean, so I do worry about that. And I'm not going to lose sleep over it. He's going to play the way he's going to play. As you said, he's played that way at Rio Linda High School. He played that way at Sac State. He played that way at Arizona State. But if you look at running backs in the history of running backs in the NFL, and you look at their shelf life, which isn't really big to begin with, I mean, that's why when you watch Derrick Henry, it's a marvel that at this point in his career, he's still as good as he is. But Cam Scatterboo is a wrecking ball on the field. And I'm not so sure about that. I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. But he is completely reinvigorated, along with Jackson Dart, the entire Giants fan base.
Yes, there is a definite charisma now there. And Scatterboo's carried a very heavy load everywhere he's gone. He was Arizona State's go-to carrying the ball 25, 30 times a game. Jackson Dart, my only concern, Grant, is he needs to be able to add something else to his game, because talking about injuries, you almost saw one last night with the collision. Yep. You can't run as much as he does unless you do something with the scheme that just keeps progressing. But I love what
Well, you have to understand, he has his number one receiver that's out in Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
And so I think that is something that if you look at Neighbors and if he can come back next year and be effective, then that obviously, gives him a legitimate number one weapon. So right now he's working with really, for all intents and purposes, they didn't have Derek Slayton on the field last night. So they had their top 2 receivers not on the field. And I think he had to improvise a lot more last night.
Good point. There is just that charisma that you talked about. You just can't quantify it.
Yeah.
You can't jar it up. You either have it or you don't. Are you surprised New York has been this quick to say, all right, this is our hope. We believe now? I'm a little surprised you
No,
have.
I've been watching football since the early 60s, and I don't mean to sound like I know it all because I don't. But the one thing I think I've done a great job of over my life is evaluating quarterbacks, and Jackson Dart just has that it. And I thought it was interesting that Kirk Herbstreit talked about that last night too, that Jackson has that it factor. And he said, I don't really know how to describe it, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
Well, I know it when I see it. Now, again, do I think Jackson Dart's going to be Joe Namath or someone of that stature in New York? I'm not ready to go there yet, but he has that it factor, right? Like, I just don't see that going away. I do want to bring this up, though, because this is a very interesting message that we received on the text line at 916-779-0929. Granted, you have hope for the Kings when Tyreek Evans won Rookie of the Year in 2010. And you know what? I did. And it wasn't because he won Rookie of the Year. It's because of the way he played. And it did give me renewed hope. Unfortunately, it didn't materialize the way I had hoped. But yeah, I did. I think a lot of Kings fans did, Ryan.
Certainly. I think about the half court shot. I think about the road games. I think about getting to the lane. He was the real deal for a year or 2 years.
Yep. So I love talking about this, and I really want to get into this with you. Being a sports fan, do you have hope with the Kings right now? And do you have a memory of like saying that's the moment, like when everything changed for you? I went through it in 98, 99, the moment that it all changed for me in watching the Kings play. I saw it. It happened right in front of me. And I watched it, but I felt it. It was more of a feel. And watching a game last night, not because they beat the Eagles. First of all, I think the Eagles have real problems. And I talked about this during the preseason. I picked Washington to win the division this year. The Eagles don't look anything like the team I watched last year. And their lack of running game, like, I don't know why you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, and it's different than it was last year when Barkley really could have been the MVP of the NFL. And I'm not seeing that right now with the Eagles. But I'm not taking anything away from what I watched last night. I just have a renewed hope. Like, it was a moment for me. And I try to stay pretty channeled with my emotions, and I try not to go overboard. And I'm really not going overboard right now. But when I look at Jackson Dart, I finally see that guy that can carry the mantle for a long time. That's what I see in him. He has every characteristic that I'm like, wow. Pretty impressive. 3 games in to play like that. That's pretty impressive. Second hour of the show. Don't forget Grant's Rant at 5 o'clock. Our NFL picks at 5 o'clock right here. The Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic as we take another look at the roadways. Heavy rush hour delays exist. Working an earlier disabled vehicle, right lane blocked. I-80 westbound at Childs Road, County Road 32. Give yourself extra time through there. Heavy delays I-5 southbound and northbound through the top of the town freeway and the US 50 interchange. Definitely careful and give yourself about 20-25 extra minutes through there. US 50 eastbound of 59th Street. That earlier accident off to the right shoulder. Give yourself a couple extra minutes. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems. And now that the calendar has hit October, you're probably not rushing to grab your sweaters and jackets just yet. But before long, it will get chilly. Will your heater work to your satisfaction? Well, right now at DAS Mechanical, they have a $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup. So take advantage of this early by going to dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org. Whether it's for your home or business, with amazing financing options available, including 0% interest for 18 months, this family-owned and operated business since 2018 will take care of your heating and air needs. Take advantage of this $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup now. Go online, dasmechanical.org. You can schedule online, look at their 5-star reviews. That's dasmechanical.org.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Tired of the same old routine? Need a place where the beer flows and the good times roll? Then head to Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Family owned and operated, so you know you'll feel right at home. Catch all your favorite games on 18 big screens while enjoying amazing food. And with 28 beers on tap, you're sure to find something you love. And don't miss everyday happy hour from 3 to 7 and again from 10 till close. Looking for more than just the game? Trivia Tuesday starts at 7 p.m. And there's Mario Kart and bingo nights for even more fun, too. There's always a blast happening at Fieldhouse. Whether you're looking for a place to watch the game, grab a bite with the family, or just unwind with friends, Fieldhouse is the place to be. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, 1833 Fulton Avenue. Bring it to the house.
Hey, come on
Hey,
in.
guys. Hi, Jack, in our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs?
No subs?
You know, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets, countertops,
Sub.
plumbing,
Sub.
drywall,
Sub,
electric,
sub.
and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
You mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Tell your friends. Grant's back. Grant Napear is back on the Sacramento airwaves right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst. K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Hour number 2, the Grant Napear Show. Hope. Hope in sports is a beautiful thing, right? And sometimes you can't define it. You just feel it. I have so many memories looking back of, and I mean moments that I remember as if they were yesterday. 916-779-0929. I'll never forget when the Giants and the 49ers played on Monday Night Football in 1986. All right? And the Giants and the 49ers were the 2 best teams in the National Football League. And you had Bill Walsh and you had Bill Parcells and you had Joe Montana going against Bill Sims. You had Ronnie Lott. Okay. You had Jerry Rice and Roger Craig and Tom Rathman and Brent Jones. And you had Randy Cross and you had Guy McIntyre. And, you had a 49ers team with John Stallworth. They were the real freaking deal, right? And Monday Night Football, and the Giants are getting spanked, and they're getting completely outplayed at halftime. And I'm working in Decatur, Illinois, and I'm watching the game in my apartment, and the Giants come out in the third quarter and score 3 touchdowns. And if you remember that game, it was the game that Mark Bavaro, the Giants' great tight end, carried several 49ers down the field for a huge first down, but it was a kind of a momentum changing type of a play. And I'll never forget, and this is how stupid I am. The Giants won that game with 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, 21-17. And just to show you how nuts I am as a fan, you know how I'm a aviation buff, right? So when you fly from San Francisco to New York, very often you're going to fly over Chicago or just south of Chicago. You very rarely would you be in Canadian airspace going from San Francisco to New York. And depending on the traffic route, you would fly right over where I was living if you were going from San Francisco to New York. And I remember, like, this is how sick I am. I remember waking up, and I first of all, I couldn't even go to sleep after the game for hours. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night because I heard a jet above, like, you know, a faint noise. I'll never forget this. And I was thinking, wow, I wonder if that's the New York Giants plane flying over me. That's how nuts I am. But then the following week, the Giants were at Washington, and it was a huge divisional game. And I'm thinking, wow, it's Monday Night Football. The Giants are coming off. They're coming off a real big high. And on the first play of the game, instead of running the football, the Giants went play action, big play over the middle, tight end, big first down. And at that point, I knew the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl. Right then and there, at that moment, I said, this team is going to win the Super Bowl. After the Niners game, after the third quarter, and then the first play of the game in Washington, which the Giants, and I've talked to Phil Simms about this on many occasions. That was the play that I knew the Giants were going to win the Super Bowl. It's that moment where it clicks. And as a sports fan, when you have that feeling, regardless of whether you're a baseball fan, I got another funny story. So June 7th, I remember these days like they were yesterday. June 7th, my birthday's June 18th. June 17th, 1978. I'm in New York City with my girlfriend from college. She lived in Baltimore, Maryland. And she comes up to see me. I was 19 years old, okay? And for my birthday, we went to Windows on the World at the World Trade Center, the beautiful restaurant that was on top of the World Trade Center. And I'll never forget being up on the windows of the world, and it was just a beautiful night in New York City. And the view from there was like, I can't really even put into words what it was like to be eating dinner on the 101st floor, I believe is where it was, in Lower Manhattan. And anyway, we get done with dinner. And we get in a taxi. I don't even remember where we were going because I lived on Long Island, and I don't remember if we were going to Penn Station. I don't even remember. I get in a taxi, and they got the Yankee game on. And the Yankees are playing the Angels. They're playing the California Angels. You can look it up. I remember like it was yesterday. June 17th, 1978. Now, the Yankees had won the World Series the year before in 6 games against the Dodgers, so they were already really good. And Ron Guidry had become a full-time starter that year after quitting his career. Ron Guidry, who was one of the great pitchers in the late 70s, was in his car driving down the New Jersey Turnpike, okay, heading back to Louisiana with his wife, Bonnie. Quit, done. Can't pitch. My career's over. And gets a call, okay, from Sparky Lyle. All right. He uses the payphone, whatever the story, or gets down to Louisiana. I can't remember that part, but gets a phone call. And he said, I'm going to change your career around. I'm going to teach you how to throw a slider, because Ron Guidry's nickname was Louisiana Lightning because he had an electric fastball, but that's all he had. Sparky Lyle, who was one of the great Yankee relief pitchers ever, taught Ron Guidry how to throw the slider. Ron was a lefty. Sparky was a lefty. And Ron Guidry went from quitting baseball in his Corvette with his wife, Bonnie, driving on the New Jersey Turnpike en route to Louisiana, to giving it a second chance and winning the Cy Young in 1978. And so I'm in the taxi, and the electricity coming through the radio was something I will never, ever forget. I get in the taxi, and Ron Guidry has just struck out his 17th batter, right? And you should just, the noise coming from the radio was just absolutely unbelievable to me. It was just like wow. And I'm in the taxi when Ron Guidry strikes out. And at that time, and I don't even know if it is still today, an American League record, 18 strikeouts. That night, Ron Guidry, June 17th, 1978, struck out 18 guys. He struck them out, 18 California Angels. And I was so, energized that I'm saying to myself, this guy is going to, he is going to be the star this year. And the Yankees at the time were struggling. That was the year they were 13.5 back in July and ended up catching the Red Sox, the famous one-game playoff, the Bucky Dent 3-run homer. Keith Jackson. Think about that. Keith Jackson. The game was on ABC. Keith Jackson did the play-by-play of the one-game playoff at Fenway Park. Afternoon game. How about that? The beauty of day baseball. Yeah, that's right. They used to play big games during the day back then, and it was a thing of beauty. I think the game started at 12:30, and that was the Bucky Dent 3-run homer over the Green Monster. And I've interviewed Goose Gossage about this. He came in relief of Ron Guidry in the 7th inning with 1 out and went 2 2/3. Okay? He went 2 2/3 to get the save. And the Yankees beat the Red Sox, then beat the Royals, and then beat the Dodgers again in 6. But Ron Guidry started that game, won the game, and that year, the same year that I was listening to him strike out 19 in the back of a New York City taxi on Broadway, 19 strikeouts. Or excuse me, 18 strikeouts. But that year, he was 25-3 with an ERA of 1.74. Here's a message. I remember listening to Ron Guidry go 10-0 listening through a transistor radio at Argyle Park in Babylon as a 12-year-old getting excited. There are certain players that give you hope. There are certain athletes that when you watch, you're just like, wow. Ron Guidry was a wow. Ron Guidry actually started the tradition of fans standing at Yankee Stadium and clapping with 2 strikes. Every time Ron Guidry had 2 strikes, everyone at the stadium would stand and applaud, and it became the thing at Yankee Stadium. Ron Guidry started that. But I'm thinking about last night being a fan of a team. I'm thinking about the Kings, right? I told you about 98, 99, and I'm telling you about the moment. And in that particular year, I don't know if it was one moment. It may have been over a span of a week where the Kings won games against teams that were projected to be much better than them. And I'll never forget what it was like. And that was the start of many, many great moments when that was a 50-game season. And it happened fast. And you only played teams in the West. It was a 50-game season. I remember you had 3 games in a row on some nights. You hear the players complaining now, gee, it's too much. Oh, well, there's no more 4 and 5s. Oh, we can't play that many back-to-backs. Give me a freaking break, would you please? I mean, they were playing 3 games in a row back then in that season to fit in a 50-game season. Nobody complained about it. Nobody was having a problem with it. You could be in one. Think about that. Back to back to back. Okay? 3 games in a row. I remember doing 4 games and 5 nights all on the road, which was not only that year, but in many years where you would go play Eastern Conference teams and Western Conference teams, 4 games and 5 nights. All right. I'll never forget this story. You want to talk about traveling. Bill White on WPIX called Dent's homer. Yep. And Keith Jackson called it on TV. The great Bill White, the former president of the National League, just a phenomenal baseball announcer. If you remember that era, Phil Rizzuto, the Scooter, Frank Messer. But anyway, you're right. Bill White did call that on Bucky Dent's homer. But I'm thinking about, that era and hope and all of the things that you remember as a sports fan that kind of put you over the top. And when I talk about the Kings and the hope that they provided the community, when at the turn of the century, if you were alive or you were old enough to remember, getting a Kings fan or getting a Kings ticket was like gold. Seriously. If you had tickets for the Kings during that stretch, you had a luxury item. If you were one of the 17,000, okay, if you were one of the 17,000 plus that had tickets for the Kings back in the early 2000s, you basically had gold in your hand. You could, and people did, you could not only sell those tickets, you could exchange them for having your car fixed, for having your house cleaned. But people did it all the time. I had people calling my radio show and telling me like what people were offering for their tickets, not just in monetary value, but in terms of favors. Seriously, those tickets back during that era were like gold bars. Seriously. I mean, if you had Kings tickets in the early 2000s, and if you were a season ticket holder, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you were, I'd love to hear from you if you have any memories of that at 916-779-0929, because like that moment in time when the Kings went from being a pathetic, embarrassingly bad franchise, okay, to being the darlings of the NBA with the starting five on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Oh, yeah, and by the way, when the national TV schedule came out, when the schedule was released in August, and the Kings were on national TV, the maximum number of times, I believe it was 24. You're thinking, whoa, wait a minute. This was the team that just 2 years earlier had people stop going to the games. They didn't want to be going to the games. You couldn't give away your tickets. Hey, you want to go to the Kings game tonight? Nah, I don't want to go. No, I'm just going to give them to you. Nah, I don't want to go. No, here, just go. No, I'm not going. I don't want to watch him play. Okay? To going 27 and 23 to then being on national TV 24, I believe it was the maximum 24 times. I guess the point I'm trying to make here is hope is a beautiful thing in sports. Because why are we sports fans? Well, we love sports, but we really want our teams to win, right? Like, I don't care if you're a baseball fan, hockey, like you want to see your team succeed. The ultimate is a championship. Like when the Cubs won the World Series for the first time in generations, I'm like I was so happy for the Cubs fans. And I say this as being a diehard New York Giants fan. You know what? I would love to see Buffalo win a Super Bowl just for the fans up there, because those are such loyal fans. Like, I would love to see that happen. And I've never really even shared this because I hate Boston. But like, I have a lot of friends that root for that team. And when they did beat the Yankees and they won in 2004, for my friends, privately, I was happy for them because they had decades and decades and decades and decades of suffering throughout their families. Decades. I mean, decades. You know, I mean, you can go back to the Carlton Fisk, you know, is it fair, is it foul, dramatic home run, right? And the Reds winning the World Series. I mean, you can go back in time. You can go back for decades. Like the Buffalo Bills, right? You think about that franchise and you think about what would it be like if the Bills won a Super Bowl? Would you not be happy? And I'm not saying you'd be happy if you're a fan of the Patriots, or you get my point, but just as in sports, wouldn't you be happy for that fan base? Like if the Sacramento Kings could ever win a championship, like I've always told you this, and it's not just me trying to, you know, win you over. I don't have to do that. I've been doing this for a long time. Like there is nothing more at age 66 from a sports perspective, okay, that I would like to see. I've seen it all. I've seen my teams win the World Series. I've seen them win the Stanley Cup. I've seen them win a championship. I've seen them win 4 Super Bowls. So I've done it, okay? I've been there. I was at the 94 Stanley Cup win in Game 7. I've been to 2 Super Bowls. I've been to the World Series. Like, I've been very blessed, okay? Like, you want to really complete the book for me and have me close the final chapter? Like, if the Kings could ever win a championship, like, that would be it. Book finished. Final chapter. Done. Let's get to some phone calls. Ryan in Sacramento. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Grant, not to burst your bubble, but as long as Vivek is the owner, the Kings will never win a championship.
Okay, yeah, but that's not really the point of my conversation, right? Like I'm talking about in the whole scheme of being a sports fan. I'm not really getting into particulars of why it's not going to happen. I'm speaking in a hypothetical fantasy world of what it would be like. All right. So like, we're not getting into the minutia and the absolute, critical lines of why they will or will not win. I get that, Ryan.
Got it. Okay. I did want to call you because I listened to the podcast today of yesterday's show, the first hour in particular.
Yep.
And I just wanted to give you credit because I love the recap you did of the first preseason game. You gave it to us straight. You told the facts. You recapped what we've been hearing day after day for the last week and a half or whatever it's been coming out of training camp and seeing none of it in that first preseason game. And I just wanted to thank you for that. And I also wanted to let you know that the thing that jumped out to me in that recap yesterday was when you talked about Sacramento being a blue-collar town. And the fact that I think back to some of the loudest times that I've ever been at Arco or Golden One Center, and it has been when those mid-level guys who are just gritty Johnny Lunch Bucket type players who get out there and play hard, work their butts off, and give effort, get the biggest pops from the Sacramento fans more than any other fan base that I've seen in the country. And I think you nailed that. And the next step I would take is we have this fan base of blue collar fans that love effort and grit. And we have an organization that's vision is based on bringing in players that bring flash and pizzazz and empty stats. And there's an expectation that the fans are going to come out and continue to support this train wreck year after year after year. And it's just incredibly frustrating as a fan.
Well, I'm really happy, first of all, that you have called the show and are sharing your thoughts. But I wanted to ask you, are your expectations for this year very low? Do you think this season is going to end up after 82 games? If you were to call me in the middle of April after they just completed the season, what do you think the narrative will be?
I think the narrative will, oh my gosh. I was thinking about,
oh my gosh.
I was thinking the other day, you and Rhino were talking about bold predictions for the season. And I wasn't able to call in that day, but my bold prediction was going to be by January, you are going to see half the building empty. You're going to see people showing up with bags on their heads. You're going to start hearing sell the team chants. And I think that's what this season is going to be. I think it is going to be an unequivocal disaster. Now, what I hope that will do is lead for major structural changes in how the organization is run. Because as you said years and years ago, and I have copied and rattled off and given you credit for it when I've talked to people who are fans, the middle is the absolute worst place to be in the NBA. And that's where we have been for far too long.
Ryan, great call. Really appreciate it. You have a good weekend, all right?
Thanks, Grant.
Thank you, Ryan. That's awesome. Hey, I'll tell you what else is awesome. Village Financial Group and the broker owner, Spencer Grimmenstein, who I've known for 25 years, ever since he began his family-owned business. And whether it's a home equity line of credit, maybe buying or selling a home, Spencer is a very creative financing specialist. And keep in mind, folks, he's got access to private money. And he's fine if you want to text him. You don't want to call, you want to just leave a quick text message, go right ahead. Reach out to him. 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. You can check out Village Financial Group at bfgloans.com. You'll find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Be sure and call for the investor special. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. More of your calls, more of this chat. I like this chat. We're getting a lot of good feedback. Grant's Rant coming up at 5. I'll have my 4 picks with Rhino at 5, and you'll be able to win a gift card of $100 courtesy of Bennett's Restaurants. All of that still ahead before we get to the weekend on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports Traffic as we take another look at the roadways. Heavy rush hour delays out on US 50 westbound anywhere between Bradshaw Road as you make your way to about top of the town freeway. And same thing with the eastbound side in the same area. You're dealing with about a 25 to 30-minute drive time. Both sides of I-5, especially the southbound side, you got stop-and-go traffic from basically County Road 102 all the way down to US 50. Give yourself about 45 to 50 extra minutes. With twice-an-hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Traffic brought to you by Gabroods Electrical. Homeowners, for any electrical project you need done, trust the good dudes at Gabroods. Locally owned, 5-star service experts, and always transparent prices and solutions. Say goodbye to your electrical issues with Gabroods. GUBRUDS.com.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. Looking for the best happy hour in town? Head to Bennett's, where every day from 2 to 6, you'll find flavor, fun, and serious value. Enjoy over 10 wines by the glass, country club-style cocktails like lemon drops, skinny margaritas, and crave-worthy share plates. Short rib tacos, chicken wings, calamari, and more, starting at just $6. It's upscale without the uptight. 3 locations, Roseville, Rockland, and Sacramento. Join us today or check out the menu at bennettsrestaurants.com.
For more than 4 decades, Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort has been trusted by home and business owners for their professional expertise in heating, air conditioning, and solar energy. Your home is your castle, and at Sierra Pacific, we thank you for 40 great years of trusting us to protect your castle. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort, solar, heating, and air. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Good conversation today right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Rhino, I enjoy the calls, the feedback. What do you want to add to this?
Great call by Ryan. Johnny Lunch Buckets. That's a good name. That's a good nickname.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just have a question for you. I'm wondering, as you think back, because you have given so many examples of hope in sports, is there one above all else that you think of when you think about hope in sports?
Well, there are 2 different ways of looking at this. One is from a fan's perspective, and another is as somebody that announced for a team for 32 years. So they're different because even though I love the Kings and wanted them to do well, it was still my job. And so there's a different set of criteria. But yes, there was. When the New York Giants drafted Lawrence Taylor, he was a difference maker, and he changed games. And when the Giants drafted Lawrence Taylor, the Giants every single week had a chance to win the football game because of number 56. And I remember because the Giants were so bad for so long that when Taylor was on the field, and it was very easy to see the impact that he would have, that gave me amazing hope that my days of horrible football were in the rearview mirror for the most part.
Okay. And professionally?
Well, I go back to the 98-99 season. It was probably within the first 2 weeks of watching Vladdy play with Weber and Stojakovic and Jay Will and Doug. And, then they added Bobby Jackson to the team. Then, shortly thereafter, they added Scott to the team. I mean, these were all, moves that were made.
Yeah.
But that stretch of basketball over a 2-week span was, and honestly, I can't even remember right now if Doug was on that 50-win team because they traded for him and used Corliss Williamson to acquire him. So right off the top of my head as I'm doing this, I can't even remember, if that team was the team that was in the Western Conference Finals because Jeff was very creative in molding that team. Of course, Mike Bibby was traded to acquire, right? You got Mike Bibby for Jason Williams, but that team in that 50-game lockout season, I'll never forget at some point early on in February, because the season opened up on February 5th, I remember being on the bus and having a completely different feeling than I had ever had since announcing the games beginning in 1988. So I say ever, it was a 10-year period, but I had never felt the way I felt being around that group of players. Like you could just, it was special, and you saw it evolving in front of you when they were playing. Like you were just like, wow. Like it was a wow factor. And here's the other thing. I always like to say, I try not to be influenced by what others say when it comes to sports, because there's so much garbage out there, especially now in social media. And like, you know me, I'm not a talk guy. I'm a show me guy.
Yeah.
Like that's why I've been saying about the Kings practice. Don't tell me you're going to pick up for 94 feet, and don't tell me you're going to do this, and don't tell me you're going to do that. And then all of a sudden the game starts and you don't do it. That's shallow to me. Like that drives me crazy. Don't tell me, show me. But what also resonated with me during that era of that 50-game season is when I would travel and I would have the Mark Steins of the world, right? And the lead reporters that covered the NBA nationally come up to me and go, wow, you guys are really good. And I'm thinking to myself, we're really good? I'm like, what, wait a minute, what? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So it was being validated by others that I respected, okay, both in the broadcast industry. I always share the story about what Mike Breen told me early on during that run that the Kings had with Rick Adelman when he was walking off the floor one night at Arco, and he came up to say goodbye to me as he was getting ready to leave the arena. And he said, listen, man, if you ever get sick, call me, would you please? I'll fly all the way across the country just to experience this team in this building. Seriously.
I know.
We talked, and that's what when I had Mike on last month, he was the first day I was on the air, right?
He was the first guest of the show.
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing with hope, and anybody like Mike Breen that's going to make that flight, calling games in the Mecca, 41 games a year to come to Arco. That's a pretty cool statement. You nailed it when you talked about when the Kings, the 2000s, if you're selling or trading your tickets to have your house cleaned, you better have like a 10,000 square foot house. I mean, come on. But no, season ticket holders that I knew, Grant, they dreadfully, they hated it, but they would sell one game of a playoff series to pay for the entire series. That's how much in demand they were. My hope moment for the Kings, and this might be the same for many, and it ended up not coming through. It was 100% Game 5. Mike Bibby shot, Bobby Jackson locking up Kobe on the baseline, and the arena just on their feet. And this is coming off of Ori's shot. And it's like, we're going to get past the Lakers. It wasn't, we're going to get past the Lakers. We are going to win an NBA championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about that? Yeah, absolutely. I love talking about these things. I really do. And I love the feedback I'm getting on the text line and people with the memories. And I just got this one. They would have won that Game 5 in Utah, but Dick Bavetta called a BS foul late in regulation, sending Jeff Hornacek to the line. That's very, very true. Good memory there. Kings had to earn their stripes, but he said, I was on the baseline. It was a horse crap call. Dislike Bavetta to this day. You know what? I remember that. You're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. That was a horrible, horrible call. They also would have won Game 5 if Vlade, who had absolutely dominated the game in the paint, had made his little baby hook with the last possession of regulation.
That is right. I remember that like yesterday.
Yeah, so do I. And I was thinking, we had our bags packed because if the Kings had won, we were flying to Portland right after the game to get ready to play the Blazers in the second round. And I remember I never forget it. Like, wow, are we going to Portland or are we going back to Sacramento? Like, you're sitting there and you're just, there's so much on the line. But like we talk about hope, and it's like, it's really hard to define hope as a sports fan. I'm trying to give you examples of me being a sports fan and when I had hope and just being an announcer for a team and seeing in a very short period of time how good the Kings were coming together and how special the talent was, but then having it validated by those around the league that I had immense respect for, whether it was like Hot Rod Hundley, like a legendary announcer for the Jazz, former player in the NBA. Hot Rod always used to come up to me, and I used to love talking to Hot Rod Hundley before the Kings played the Jazz. And I'll never forget during the regular season, him coming up to me one time and goes, "You guys can win a championship." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You guys are really good." He goes, "I'm worried about you guys." He goes, "I think you can beat us." And I'm like, "You were kidding me." They had Stockton and Malone. Jerry Sloan was the coach. They had Jeff Hornacek. They had Mark Eaton. They had Thurl Bailey. And I'm like, there's no way the Kings are going to beat the Jazz. They got John Stockton and Karl Malone. And I'll never forget Hot Rod telling me that. And you know what? He was almost right. The Kings almost won that year, but then they did beat the Jazz in the playoffs at Arco. But I'll never forget Hot Rod telling me that because I had so much respect for him because of a former player and as a great announcer. Stockton and Malone. Like that was no, really, Hot Rod Hundley was just I love talking to him. But when I would talk to other announcers in around the league, like Marv Albert, right, would tell me the same thing. Chick Hearn would tell me the same thing. Hot Rod Hundley, I'm like, wow, what I'm seeing with my eyes is really true. It's not just me trying to be caught up in the emotion of living in a community where the basketball team's playing very well. The rest of the country's seeing it. And again, when they were on the cover of Sports Illustrated, for me, that was just like, wow, that was a wow moment. There's no other way to say it. It was a wow moment.
And you'd seen called some lean years, so to be able to sit front row and see the progression and be calling incredible basketball, you probably just get lost in the moment. You could even break hope down to a more fundamental level. If you just want to put it a little bit more on the micro in games, like as a Seattle Seahawks fan, nothing was going right for the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship against the Packers. Russell Wilson had thrown 2 or 3 picks, and it's like, this thing's done. And then all of a sudden you do the fake punt, and Gary Gilliam catches that touchdown, and it's like, whoa, like it's different. You just felt it. Like this is going to change things.
It's amazing in sports as a fan, especially if you're a long-suffering fan. It's amazing what one moment or one player can do to give you hope, even if it's short-lived, right? And I'm trying to give you examples of where it wasn't short-lived, where it's became a defining period of time in the career in the history of that franchise. And I've given you an example where it was fleeting, like Tyreek Evans, the rookie year, right? When he was like, it was like, wow. And that was fleeting. It didn't last very long. But most of the memories that I have of that wow moment, like that, like defining moment, that's why I go back to last night with Jackson Dart. Like, I don't think Jackson Dart is going to be a bust. I don't think he's a fluke. I don't think you can play as well as he has played, particularly on a stage of the magnitude of the game last night. I don't think you can be that in command and play that well and that accurate with your passes and then say, well, gee, that was just a fluke. Like, I don't see it as a fluke. I see as somebody, I finally see the Giants having their first franchise quarterback since Eli Manning. That's what I see.
It's incredible. It feels like the Giants they're not to the Cleveland point yet, but they lately have been through a lot of quarterbacks.
Yep. Speaking of Cleveland, it is official. Shedeur Sanders is the backup to Dylan Gabriel this week. And, something else, Rhino, we talk about big games this week in the National Football League. The 49ers and the Bucks, they're going to be key studs not on the field. The Bucks are not going to have Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, right? Both are out. Think about that. This could be a very, very low-scoring game. And if Mac Jones, who is expected to start, is questionable, if he ends up getting injured early because Purdy is out, this could be a 10-7 type of a game. It really could.
No doubt. And what about Pearsall? Is he going to be 100%? He's out as well. Exactly. So it might be a grind them out game. The other one that I'm looking at, and quite frankly, the line surprises me. It's Seattle at Jacksonville. Seattle's a 1.5 favorite there.
How about that, huh? Wow. Well, we're going to have our picks, so don't spoil it. All right.
I didn't give a pick. We're just
No, I
talking
know.
about the games.
I understand, but let me tell you something. We got what do you think? Your math has us picking 7 games total. I have us picking 8. So I'm hoping to go 5-3, whereas you're hoping to go 5-2. But I understand that we pick a total of 8 games, not 7. Okay. Did your dad say anything to you about your great math skills after the show yesterday, or was he not listening to
I
that?
don't think he was listening.
Thank goodness.
I would have heard. No excuses here, but my son always tries to tell us, like, he'll go, what's 1 times 1? And we'll be like 2. And he goes 3. We're like, no, Liam. And I just, my mindset was not there. By the way, dude, happy birthday. Love you, son.
Oh, happy birthday. That's
11
awesome.
years old.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Good. I love that. All right, here's one on the text line. How about Linsanity in 2013? After 12 years of crappy basketball for the Knicks, it was short-lived. And I told the story. I was in New York announcing the Knicks in the middle of Linsanity, and Modell Sporting Goods, which is the biggest sporting goods store in New York, on 42nd Street. When you walk by Modell's, and again, this is a huge store. It's not just like a little sports store. It's a huge store encompassing a large portion of the block. The entire window was Linsanity, not Carmelo Anthony, okay? It was all Linsanity. It was number 7 New York Knicks jerseys and shirts everywhere. And when I walked into Madison Square Garden that night and felt the energy, and Jeremy Lin played tremendously well, and I mean this, I was in Madison Square Garden 32 times, or well, make it 31. I wasn't there in the 98-99 season because they didn't play. So I did 30 or 31 games at Madison Square Garden with the Kings and the Knicks. That is the most energized, excited that I had ever experienced the Knicks during my tenure as an announcer. Now, I can't compare it to Willis Reed coming out. That's not, but I'm saying as me being an announcer in the NBA and being at Madison Square Garden announcing Knicks games, and I did 30 or 31 games, the energy in the building that night and the hope that Knicks fans had because of Jeremy Lin was unbelievable. But that was very short-lived. And one of the main reasons why it was short-lived is because of the way the Knicks handled it. That's probably the main reason. All right, hey, we are overdue for a break. We'll take it. We'll continue with this conversation. Don't forget to give me a call. Would love to talk to you about this at 916-779-0929. The Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Downtown Ford of Sacramento is celebrating the fall by getting you equipped for a winter road trip. And if you're headed up 50 or 80 into those gorgeous Sierras, get there safely in a new or certified pre-owned 4x4 from Downtown Ford. Our lot on Howe Avenue is loaded with super clean pre-owned trucks and SUVs ready for the snow. F-150s, Rangers, Explorers, and the super hot Ford Maverick. And if there's a particular type of vehicle you've dreamed of owning someday, Downtown Ford probably has a used version of that same vehicle for a substantially lower price. Downtown Ford backs our pre-owned vehicles with an available 10-year, 100,000-mile extended service contract. We're the oldest Ford dealership in California, and we're super proud of our heritage of providing great American Ford cars and trucks to the people of Sacramento for more than a century. Visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Welcome to HQ Showgirls, Sacramento's premier adult gentlemen's club. We're the only topless club between Reno and San Francisco serving alcohol, beer, wine, and champagne. All inside over 6,000 square feet of pure excitement. Planning a party or a VIP night? Call our VIP manager now at 916-389-0199 to book your table. Come experience the energy at HQ Showgirls, 851 Richards Boulevard, Sacramento. Open 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and until 4 a.m. Friday and Saturday. Visit hqnightclub.com, where the night begins and never stops.
Looking for the perfect spot to watch the game and enjoy amazing food and drinks? Look no further than Fieldhouse American Sports Pub. Family owned and operated, Fieldhouse is passionate about creating a fun, welcoming atmosphere for everyone. Spice things up on Tuesdays with Taco Tuesday. Buy any order of our delicious tacos and get a refreshing margarita for just $6. On Wednesday, Fieldhouse features incredible drink specials. Enjoy $5 well drinks and ice cold pints all day long. Fieldhouse was voted the #1 sports bar in Sacramento. Tons of TVs, a mouthwatering menu, and daily specials. It's the perfect sports bar to catch all the action. Visit us today at 1833 Fulton Avenue. Fieldhouse American Sports Pub, where the food is fantastic, the drinks are flowing, and the good times never stop. Fieldhouse, bring it to the house.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. 800-941-4184. That's 800-941-4184.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and I dedicate a lot of my time going fast. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't forget Grant's Rant coming up. Love it. Got some good topics. That's coming up at 5 o'clock. We've got our picks. So happy that you are joining me right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Very happy to get all of your feedback, and really an interesting topic that I think today, based on all the comments that I'm getting, and we've had some really good phone calls about what you can hang your hat on when it comes to your favorite sports team, or what you look at when it comes to like changing your mood being a sports fan. Like, I don't know about you, but I needed my mood changed in watching the New York Giants play. And last night, I got a feeling in me that I haven't had in a long time. I had a feeling that was like, wow, finally. Like, that was the moment. I was like, the word was finally. I'm like, finally. You got it right at the quarterback position. Finally. I just can't imagine Jackson Dart now all of a sudden being a failure. I could see him having bad games. Everyone's going to have bad games. I don't have a problem with that. He's playing against Denver next week. I could see him having a bad game. I'm okay with that. But, I mean, I don't expect him to be Johnny Unitas every week. But I remember, again, being a fan of one team in New York. I remember going to Shea Stadium when Joe Namath came onto the scene for the Jets. And I remember Jets fans had the exact same feeling. Wow. You got a franchise quarterback. And what happened? The Jets ended up winning the Super Bowl. Like, Joe Namath gave an entire fan base hope in the old AFL. Hope. So, I mean, come on now. It only takes one player. One player can do it. One player. One person can change an entire fan base around with hope. Hope's a beautiful thing, not only in sports but in life. But since this is a sports show, we keep it to sports. Hope's a beautiful thing. And I'm wondering right now, Ryan thinks that you can hang your hat on Nick Clifford. I'm not ready to go there just yet. And I think Ryan made a very interesting point that Nick's presence kind of reminds him the feeling that he had with Tyrese Halliburton early in his career. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I hope he's right. And I hope most of you are right when you project that for Nick Clifford. I need to wait a little bit longer, but hopefully you can hang your hat on him. Let's get to Garrett in Woodland. Garrett, how are you?
Good, Grant. How are you guys doing?
I'm well, thank you.
This topic you've been talking about for a while now just reminded me of I'm a Raider fan, unfortunately, loyally. I'm a Kings fan and an A's fan as well. But I'll never forget 2016 when the Raiders started pulling through and winning some games back to back, and it was like, this is it. This could be the year, and they just felt different. And then Derek Carr broke his leg, and from then on, it was like, crap. But man, I love this topic. I can't wait for more. Love the show, Grant. Love you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. Ryan, so you were talking about Nick Clifford, and you brought up Tyrese Halliburton. So for those that weren't with us last hour, expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not comparing their games.
No, I know you weren't.
Comparing their presence. I'm comparing their IQ. I'm comparing their ability to be chameleons and fit in with whatever your team is going to ask you to do and be somebody that pulls people together rather than just being a part of the team. You know, that wasn't Davion Mitchell. That hasn't been Devin Carter. I could keep going down the line with the draft picks. He is the closest thing to Tyrese in that sense that we have had since Tyrese, in my opinion.
Well, and I think you make a really good point about presence. And I think his presence is very similar to when the Kings drafted Halliburton. When you look at training camp and you look at expectations and you look at like his maturity. I'll use that word. You use the word presence, which I think is perfect. The maturity of Nick Clifford is extremely similar, very similar to what I think Tyrese Halliburton brought in when the Kings drafted him.
And it's also very simple. Things are simple for him. And that says a lot when you are somebody that's coming into the league at this point. In this type of league, he does not look like he is out of place or there's a curve. And, you know, not everybody, Grant, can step onto the court and be ready to play. Look at many of our draft picks that we've had as of late.
Yeah. And it's another illustration. And even though I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse here as it pertains to Clifford because he hasn't even played in a game yet, you have the best basketball scouts in the world. You have 30 general managers. The NBA is the greatest league in the world. And yet you see all of the mistakes that these general managers and scouts make every year when it comes to evaluating talent, not only in the NBA, but in the NFL as well. It's just incredible to me when you look at how special of a player Halliburton is and how far he dropped in the first round. Again, we got a glimpse of Nick Clifford, and again, I don't want to get carried away. He hasn't even played in a game yet. But to be all the way at number 24 in the first round, like think about that. But then we use examples of Nikola Jokic, second round, and so many other tremendous players that weren't even taken in the first round that end up being superstars. And you're like, what are these scouts looking at?
Spot on, partner. And that's back when the draft was a little bit more objective rather than subjective since NIL and the transfer portal has come along, because I think teams these days are now not looking at best available player. They are trying to gauge what fits their system the best and how much they think they can develop that player, because you don't have guys that are staying at the same school for multiple years in a row usually. And Nick, he was at Colorado State for all of his years except one.
You know, you talk about that era, it's not that long ago, but I remember this conversation vividly I was talking with Vladi, and he was talking to me about Jokic, and I had never heard of him before when Vladi first brought him to me. I didn't even know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and by that I mean, like, I knew that he was on Denver, but he was very early in his career, and I didn't know anything about him. I had never heard of him before. Like, I mean that. I had never heard of him before. And Vladi had said, yeah, if I had had this job 1 year earlier, he would be on the Kings. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, I would have done anything I had to do to draft him.
Wow.
And he wasn't even playing for Denver. Like, he was like, I'm like, this kid right there. And he goes, yeah. And like, I'll never forget that conversation. But like, I'd never heard of Nikola Jokic. Had you ever? First of all, no one even knew how to pronounce his first name. They're calling him Nikola, right? And then no, it was Nikola. I'd never heard of him in Europe. Did you?
No, he's the reason, Grant, that we now know how to properly pronounce a lot of the Serbian names in the NBA because we learned Jokic.
Yeah. So it's just like it's amazing though how many people make mistakes. And again, Tyrese Halliburton and there are so many others are a great example. Well, I mean, look at Philadelphia and Boston. Philadelphia made one of the stupidest trades of their era to get Markelle Fultz at number 1 and gave up a number 1 pick, which really turned around the entire Boston Celtics franchise. Danny Ainge took Philadelphia to the cleaners, and with that one trade, built a championship team that won the championship because they fleeced Philadelphia. And Philadelphia could have had Markelle Fultz right where they were if they hadn't moved up in the draft. And they ended up taking him, and he ends up being a bust. And they not only they had to give up an additional first-round pick. And I mean, so like you look at certain teams that evaluate talent, and when you make a mistake, well, the 49ers are a great example. They're a good, very good franchise there, but the move to get Trey Lance, they got lucky because they drafted Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft. But that move, look at the Bears moving up to draft Mitchell Trubisky, moving up to draft Justin Fields. They're not even there anymore. I mean, again, look at Trey Lance. How bad of a decision was that by the 49ers?
Grant, that was a decision that would have sunk a lot of franchises.
Yes.
Sunk.
Yes.
They just had the talent. And like you said, they got lucky with Brock Purdy as well. And they had an owner that was willing to spend.
Yeah. I've always said, though, if you're a general manager, if you are running a franchise and there's a player that you love that you think can turn around your franchise, go get him. And as a Giants fan, Ernie Accorsi, the Giants general manager, did that when he traded for Eli Manning. And he gave up a lot. And he was criticized for it because you could have had Phillip Rivers. And he said, I don't want Phillip Rivers. Well, he didn't say that. And they traded a lot to San Diego. And Ernie Accorsi was right. He loved him, and he won 2 Super Bowls and was a 2-time MVP. But how many general managers do that and yet make the wrong move and make a mistake? They give up the farm to move up in the draft because they love somebody, and that player turns out to be poor. Now, I look at the Kings moving up to get Nick Clifford. They didn't have a first-round pick. That looks like a pretty strong move from Scott Perry right now, doesn't it?
It does. And they needed to move back in. Otherwise, I don't know how they would have really filled this roster properly. But to identify him, number 1, a guy that can play multiple positions, but then number 2, also use your 42nd pick using the exact same criteria that you put towards Nick Clifford, guy that's, been in college for a few years, a guy that is polished, a little bit older. It was a very, very good draft. Scott turned what will very likely end up being, or would have ended up being, 2 second-round picks into a first this year when you needed it. And, great job by him. And we can tie it directly back to the De'Aaron Fox trade now.
Very true. Absolutely. Hey, don't forget, we've got Grant's Rant coming up in a couple of minutes. We've got our picks. And you'll have a chance to win a $100 gift card from Bennett's Restaurants. We'll announce the winner from the picks of last week coming up next hour. So hopefully you will be the winner of a $100 gift card from Bennett's Restaurants. We take your phone calls at 916-779-0929. That's 916-779-0929. As we move along, get you ready for the weekend. Reiner will be joining me tonight on the postgame show over on our YouTube channel, If You Don't Like That, after the Kings and the Blazers. Let's get Fit Edward in before we get to the break. Edward, go ahead. You're on with Grant.
Grant, love it since you've been since you first came back to Sacramento. Been following the team forever. And what is our starting five? Domas taking it to the basket was wonderful. I saw that last night or the other night. He took it to the hole. It was fantastic. But other than that, the fourth quarter guys were great. But what do you think the starting five is for the Kings? Because I have to visualize it.
Well, the starting five is the start. Yeah, and thank you for the call, Edward. You don't have a great connection, so I'm going to let you go, and I appreciate that. Their starting five is the starting five they put out onto the floor the other night, and I don't see that changing, at least for the immediate future. I think the starting five of Schroeder, Levine, with DeRozan, Murray, and Sabonis, that's the way it's going to be, barring an injury or a catastrophe to start the season. I don't see the starting five changing for the foreseeable future. I'd be surprised if it does, and thank you for the call. So, again, we got Grant's Rant coming up around the horn. We've got our picks coming up in the next hour, plus your phone calls at 916-779-0929. You can use that number as well to send me a text message. We've got 1 hour left to get you to the weekend. A lot of football to talk about, both college and the NFL. Indiana, are they really one of the top teams in college football? We're going to find out a lot more Saturday. That's tomorrow when they are at Oregon. Yeah, I think the Oregon Ducks. I look at them bye week coming off the big win against Penn State. Yeah, that's a game I'll be watching, that's for sure. All right, Grant's Rant. When we come back, plus our picks next hour, right here, the Grant Napear Show on a busy Friday afternoon, Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports Traffic working a couple of new problems for you. One was on Fulton on-ramp to northbound State Route 51 in North Sacramento. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes through there. We got reports of a fire. Just don't know if it's a brush fire or a car fire or a structure fire. I-80 westbound at Truxell Road in North Sacramento. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes. And then the northbound side of 51 at Marconi Avenue. Also got an injury collision slowing things down. With twice an hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Ready to turn your idle equipment into cash? Purple Wave Auction is your solution. We specialize in no-reserve online auctions, bringing nationwide buyers to your doorstep. From excavators to dozers, we'll market your assets to a vast audience of eager buyers. No hauling required. We photograph and list your equipment where it sits. Experience our transparent and simple process with expert support. Join successful sellers who trust Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com today to learn how easy selling can be.
Hey, it's Grant Napear for DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems. And now that the calendar has hit October, you're probably not rushing to grab your sweaters and jackets just yet. But before long, it will get chilly. Will your heater work to your satisfaction? Well, right now at DAS Mechanical, they have a $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup. So take advantage of this early by going to dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org. Whether it's for your home or business, with amazing financing options available, including 0% interest for 18 months, this family-owned and operated business since 2018 will take care of your heating and air needs. Take advantage of this $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup now. Go online, dasmechanical.org. You can schedule online, look at their 5-star reviews. That's dasmechanical.org.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Desperation draft picks rarely pan out in the NFL. Owners get impatient, coaches get nervous, and when panic meets pressure, bad things follow. Now look at what the Giants did in the offseason. They drafted quarterback Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss transfer, labeled a system quarterback by some questionable decision-making, and Cam Scatterbo, The bruising Arizona back may be labeled too slow and too limited at the pro level. But football is a funny way of humbling the critics. On Thursday night, the so-called two reaches helped the Giants pull off a big upset over the defending champion Eagles. Dart was poised, decisive, elusive, and Scattaboo was relentless, breaking tackles, scoring 3 touchdowns. Both still have room to grow, but together they've done something pretty important, like winning more than just a football game. They've reignited hope in New York, and maybe for the coach and GM, they bought more time to keep this building in the Big Apple. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. Mako's running a paint sale right now, starting at just $499. How about that? Now, if you've been thinking about maybe doing something with your car, don't pass up this opportunity, okay? There's dents, dings, chip paint. Mako's seen it all. But for this price, take advantage of that, and you could give your ride a fresh look. Free estimate. They'll work with your budget. They'll get the job done fast. No pressure, no judgment, a fresh start, and you're going to have a national warranty to accompany it. And they're community-based, great people to work with, somebody you can trust to make your car look nice. A fresh ride. They've been doing it for over 50 years, and it's easier than ever for you to take advantage of this. Your car could use a little love. Now's the time. But don't wait. These paint sales will not last long. Visit Mako, that's MAACO.com, and find the nearest location. Schedule that free estimate. And with the paint sale starting at just $499, your car is going to look awesome. Better get Mako.
Grant Napear is back every weekday afternoon, 3 to 6. This is Fox Sports, KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
It's time for Grant's Rant.
Oh, I love Grant's Rant, especially on a Friday. Rhino, fire away, buddy.
Grant, I am so sick of seeing all of these entrances by the NBA and WNBA players. It looks like Fashion Week every game at an arena. So that's my first thing.
It's embarrassing.
It is. Here's the second thing, Grant. There is some pushback from some on social media and some that attended the game on Wednesday about the Sacramento Kings playing some music pregame that had obscenities in it. And last but not least, Holiday Inn Express is now going to be offering you alarm clocks that can wake you up with smell. You can choose coffee, bacon, or blueberry muffin.
Wow. Thank you, Rhino. I have an easy choice of my rants because when I turned on the feed, when I was streaming the game on Wednesday night, I didn't realize the game started at 7:30. So I put it on shortly after 7, and the live feed was up, and it had the players on the court going through their warm-ups with the music blaring in the background. And I could not believe what I was listening to. Do better, Sacramento Kings. Do better. It was embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing. You're playing songs, okay, whether it's rap or hip hop, I don't care. Pick songs with better lyrics, okay? Don't be like beeping out the F word and then in other songs having the word abbreviated. It's a freaking embarrassment. It's a family atmosphere. You got dads and moms there with their sons and daughters, and I can go on and on. Do better. It's called common sense. And I know the individual sparingly that's the quote-unquote DJ at the game. And I don't mean this to, I don't want him to, feel terrible about what I'm saying here. He's a nice guy. I've talked to him before, and I hope he takes this as constructive criticism. But the Kings hire him, and the Kings need to have more control over the music that's being played in the arena for their fans, okay? I don't want rap and hip-hop with vulgar lyrics, all right? And I'm 66, and if I'm offended, then you know what? A lot of other people would be offended. And I would tell you that on my social media and on my podcast that I do over on YouTube and X, there were a number of fans that brought it up to me and told me that they were bothered by it, okay? Do better, Kings fan or Kings organization. Do better. Have control of the music that is being played to your fan base. All right. There should be no vulgar, no bad lyrics, the obscenities. It doesn't need to be at the game. All right. It's called common freaking sense. And for the DJ, and I forgive you for not remembering your name, think a little bit about what you're playing. Think about who is in the building, okay? You're not at a freaking nightclub, right? You're not at a nightclub. You're at an NBA game with young people, with old people, with all different types of ethnicities, backgrounds, religions, generations, sexual orientation. Do better. Plain and simple, do better. Sacramento Kings, wake the heck up, would you please? Get control of your music that's being played at the arena. That was embarrassing. Plain and simple, embarrassing. And that's my rant for today. And if you don't mind me going on a little mini rant here, you're right about the wardrobe and what's going on. First of all, I don't know when it became a thing that networks have to show the basketball players walking into the arena. Like, is that real? I mean, it's just, it becomes like a thing. Like it's a must now to see a player walk in to the arena. But I mean, some of the dress, it's like, are you kidding me or what? It's just unbelievable, Rhino. I'm glad you brought that up.
Grant, when they used to play back in the day, video or live shots of guys walking into the arena, it was Jordan, it was Kobe. What were they wearing?
Well, David Stern used to have a dress code for a while, right? I don't know if you remember that.
I do, but it was beyond the dress code. They were always in suits.
Yeah, suits. Well, you know, in hockey, if you turn on hockey, what are the hockey players always wearing?
Suits.
They're always wearing jackets and ties and suits. So I get that. All right, so I want to get to this. We waited for the Grant rant. Then he gave it to Ryan. That was a no-go for us, and we clicked off immediately. Well, you may have clicked off. Most people are not clicking off. Grant rant is sacred territory, and it needs to be respected a lot more than that. Well, I disagree with you. I appreciate your input, but like, you know, I have a wild card, which I've used, where if I don't like the three choices that Ryan gives me, I go and I rant on what I want to rant about. So I don't agree with you. We're just trying to do things a little bit differently. And I like to be spontaneous. And I think it's fun to be spontaneous when I don't know of a topic that I'm going to rant on. And I think it's more natural. It's 100% just off the cuff. And so I appreciate your comment, but I don't agree with you. And I will continue to do it this way. So, but thank you. And I do appreciate that Grant's rant is sacred territory. But with Ryan giving me ideas, it does not change the fact that it's, as your words, sacred territory. Because if I don't like the three choices, and Rhino, you know, I've said I don't like them, and I rant on what I want to rant on. It's just a different wrinkle to what I'm doing.
That came through the text line, or that
Yes.
came? Okay. Well,
Text line.
First off, I understand how special Grant's rant is. I'm not going to put stuff in there that isn't going to lead to be topical or a bad rant. Go back and listen to the shopping cart rant, yo. Go check that one out.
Yeah.
We've had some good rants.
Yeah, we
since
have
being
had
on Fox.
Yeah. And I would have never, ever done that rant. Never.
What about the travel
I don't think
rant?
my rants today was a little bit over the top. I think it was under the top. It said, I like the three choices for Grant's rant, but Grant's rant today was a little bit over the top. I disagree with you. I don't think it's over the top at all. I received many messages from fans that were at the game on Wednesday night that were bothered by the music. And I was watching the feed, streaming, and I am listening to the music, and I became infuriated. All right. And then I'm thinking, well, you know, maybe it's just me. And I didn't even say anything. I didn't even say anything after the game and until I started receiving messages on my podcast. Okay. I let it go. I wasn't going to bring it up. I wasn't going to say anything because I was like, well, maybe that's just me. And I don't want to kind of put an idea in somebody's head because they heard me talk about it. I'm going to let them mention it first. And you know what? I had many people bothered by the music. So when you say it's a bit over the top, I would like you to expand on that. Thank you for the message. I mean that. Thank you for contributing to the show via the text line. How's that over the top? How's that over the top? You want to go to a game and have music played with vulgar lyrics? That's over the top? At a basketball game, which is at Golden One Center, probably the most family-oriented basketball crowd in America, along with Oklahoma City? How's that over the top? I don't think that's over the top at all. And that's called rant. And I just ranted on something that not only was I bothered by, but others were bothered by because they reached out to me on my social media accounts and during my podcast and told me the same thing. So follow up, if you don't mind, with here we go. I like what you were saying, but agree, but I had to turn my volume down too loud. You're talking about I was too loud? Is that what you mean? Like I spoke too loud and therefore the decibel level coming through your app or on your radio was too loud? That's what you mean? That's okay. And I appreciate you saying that. I will try to do a better job of not going too loud because I have a unbelievably tremendous microphone in front of me here. But yeah, okay, fair enough.
I'm sure you've never heard that you're too loud before.
Well, how much history do you want behind that, and how much time do you have?
Right? Serious question, though. You growing up, was there obscenities in music?
No.
See?
No.
It's become so, I don't want to use, I have to use the word normal. You can turn to almost every genre right now, and you will find songs with obscenities that have.
So you want to go take your son to the game like you do occasionally and hear those type of songs while you're there with your son or your daughter at the game?
No, not necessarily.
Well, it's either yes or no. It's not necessarily. It's either yes or no. Like, that's how I'm looking at it. I don't think it's not necessarily. I would either answer that's a yes or a no question. Do you want to hear that type of music when you are at a Kings game? And quite frankly, my answer is no. I wouldn't say not necessarily. It's either a yes or a no question. There are so many choices of music. Why are you choosing songs that have those type of lyrics in them? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so I say not necessarily because some of it was bleeped out, right? It's the clean version versus the original version.
Why not just play a different song? There's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of songs. Play a different song.
I think the players have a little bit more control over what they want to hear while they're warming up.
Well, see, the players should have zero control over the music that's played in the game because the games are being played for the fans that go to the games. The games aren't being played for the players. The players should have zero control over the music. And I want to read
baseball players get to choose their walk-up music.
That is a completely different situation than the overall music that's being played inside an arena during a pregame. Let me just follow up with this because I want to show via my text line that I'm not the only one that feels this way. Grant, I 100% agree with you. I took my son to the game, 8-year-old, and I was shocked. Supposed to be a family-friendly environment. Shame on the entertainment side of the Kings. So again, I don't think I am in the well, I may be in the minority, but I'm certainly not the only one. So the players, see, here's the one, and I've talked to Jerry Reynolds about this very often. The biggest mistake that I think some franchises make is they forget who their audience is in terms of why you're in business. You're in business because of the fans that watch your product and pay money to go see your product. That's why you're in business, okay? You should always, and I mean this, try to appease the majority of your fan base in all areas. So I personally have never felt the players should determine what the music is inside the arena or inside the stadium. Now, that's just me. Just me.
And that's fair. And I'm not saying the players choose the entire set list, but I think that there is some push and pull there about the type of music, the genre of music that's being played. Because you're getting warmed up, you're getting hyped up. Now, yeah, you can find a zillion songs that don't have obscenities in it. And again,
Thank you.
I get that, but it also, I'm sorry, I'm going to take this a step further. I don't want to make it a societal thing, but there's a different level of tolerance that is considered, to me, and it's my personal opinion, okay now.
Let me ask you something. When you take your son or your daughter to go see a Disney movie, do you think that because it's now, quote unquote, as you said, acceptable in society and more of the norm than not, that it would be okay to take your son or a daughter to a Disney movie and hear that type of language in the movie?
Might not be that type of language, but there's certain context that's put into Disney movies, or at least there has been some recently that some would argue, I don't want my son or daughter seeing that. And you don't know that walking in.
I just think it's a wrong notion to take the, and I'm not saying you are, to take the approach or the mindset that, well, it's becoming more of the norm than the exception in society. And for that reason, it's okay to have that music at a basketball game. It's, in my opinion, it's not okay for this reason. There are millions of choices for different songs that don't have obscenities, okay, in the lyrics. So play a different song. It's that simple to me.
So are we, let me make sure we're on the same page. Even if it is bleeped out, are you saying you don't want anything that's bleeped out? You want something
not
else?
over the loudspeaker at a game when you have the general public coming in for a sporting event. Now, if I'm at a concert and I'm getting ready to watch a hip hop artist or a rapper or whatever, that's different. But at a sporting event, no, I don't want that at the sporting event. I don't.
Okay, here's where I will agree with you. Most songs that are popular are played on the radio. That's FCC regulated, which means there's a clean version where you're not hearing a gap or you're hearing the first sound and the rest blocked out. Play the clean version. That's the problem right there. You're playing a version where you can make the assumption what the word was going to be.
Again, I'm going to go back to two words, Ryan, that I use all the time in broadcasting, whether it's on the radio or on my podcast, and I use this in life. Two words: common sense. It's really common sense. It boils down to common sense. If I'm a DJ and I'm playing music, okay, that I control at the arena, I am not going to pick out songs that have obscenities and vulgarities in their lyrics because I have too many other choices and I'm not going there. It's common sense. All right, let's get to some phone calls here. Why don't we check in with Lynn right here on Fox Sports Sacramento? Hi, Lynn.
Wow, that is a crazy debate that you two guys are having. Well, I got to agree with you, Grant, that was way too far what they did. Got to agree a little bit with Ryan said, too. There is a song that can be played that follows the FCC guidelines that is totally clean, that you can't assume what is being blanked out. You know what I'm saying? Because usually what they did was they would beep it out, but you can assume what it is by listening to it. But there is a clean version, like Ryan said. I got one mini rant for you.
There's so many choices of music that you shouldn't even have to worry about whether there's a clean version or not. Just play a different song.
It's true.
We're not going to a concert. We're going to a basketball game. You know, it's not like you're going to be playing 100 songs. You're just playing a couple of songs as the team is on the floor with the other team. So it's not brain surgery here.
Yeah, and if there is a clean version, just play the clean version. I got to ask you real quick. Last week was just a weird week in the NFL. Do you think we're going to see that this week again? Because everybody says you got to play the games, and we already saw this week with the Giants and the Eagles. I would never expect the Eagles to lose that game to the Giants like that. That was just crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I thought the Eagles was the 1-14, not the Giants. And that kid Cam is so unbelievable, man. That is a great running back for the Giants. And I got a pet peeve rant I have. You have some great choices there. My rant is talking about watching races on the F1 races. I hate when they always show the partners and they go away from the actual race. I don't know what your take on
I don't
that
understand it either. I'm with you. You're talking about girlfriends. They're too proper with the term partners.
Yeah.
They're their girlfriends. I'm with you 100%. Hey, Lynn, you have a great weekend, all right?
You do the same. I know it's NFL. Listen to your guys' picks. Can't wait.
Thank you. Rhino, I'm going to give you the last word before I get you into the break.
I think it's something that we should keep on our radar because last year the Kings had a rotating set of DJs. There were 5 of them, and from time to time they would have other guest DJs. So if it doesn't happen again this season, maybe it was a bad decision by a bad DJ, right? So
maybe. I don't know enough to get into whether the Sacramento Kings control the playlist or if it's the individual DJ. Again, whomever it is that's doing it on a particular night, just remember common sense. Just use common sense. It's that simple to me. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Ryan. Thank you. Hey, before we get to break, DAS Mechanical, and family owned and operated since 2018. They serve both Sacramento and Placer counties. They're HVAC retrofit and service specialists. They also do new systems. And right now, until the end of November, a $69 special, a winter maintenance check. So when it does turn cold and you turn that heater on for the first time, you don't go, uh-oh, and you get the blankets out and you end up sleeping in sweaters. And then you try to schedule an appointment, but everybody else is doing the same thing. And you're like, uh-oh. No, don't be that person. Don't be Mr. or Mrs. Uh-oh. Get in touch with dasmechanical.org and take advantage of that $69 winter maintenance check. dasmechanical.org, ideal for homeowners, businesses, for commercial maintenance. And if you should end up getting a new unit, don't worry, they'll go over every single step of the way. You will be completely informed. The financing options are numerous, including 0% interest for 18 months. There's currently $6,000 in rebates available. Check out their 5-star reviews, their numerous Best of Best awards, and schedule everything online at dasmechanical.org. D as in dog, A, S as in Sam, mechanical.org. 2 more segments left, including our picks and more. 916-779-0929 on the Grant Napear Show.
Fox Sports Traffic, taking another look at the roadways. Got some malfunctioning traffic lights at Folsom Boulevard and Bradshaw Road and North Sacramento. Give yourself some extra time, and please treat that intersection as a 4-way stop until officials get on scene to correct that problem. Reports of a fire on I-80 westbound at Truxell Road in South Sacramento, causing all sorts of slowdowns. Speaking of slowdowns, we're dealing with some heavy rush hour delays around the Sacramento area. Definitely give yourself that extra time with twice-an-hour traffic. I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
Hey, come on in.
Guys. Hi, Jack. In our subdivision?
Yeah, I saw your Suburban out front, so I thought I'd see how your kitchen and bath remodel was going.
We're delayed.
Oh, watch your step.
Waiting on subs.
Contractors?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't go with Kitchen Mart?
No, why?
Nothing. That's just why we went with Kitchen Mart. They don't use subs.
No subs? No subs?
You know, with the exception of something very specialized, Kitchen Mart does everything in-house so they can finish on time and on budget. So your cabinets, countertops, plumbing, drywall, electric, and your contractor pulled permits, right? That's the law.
Was he supposed to?
Well, you mean supposed to?
What'd I say?
Sub.
Sub?
Sub.
Remodeling your kitchen or bath? 20,000 ecstatic customers agree. No subs means Kitchen Mart's in-house designers, craftsmen, and installers do it right and finish on time and on budget. Kitchen Mart, with 2 showrooms in Sacramento and Rockland. Call 362-7080 or go to kitchenmart.net for a free home appointment.
Kitchen and bath, no one does it better than Kitchen Mart.
The most trusted name in kitchen and bath remodeling since 1976.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. At Bennett's, it's all about bold flavors and fresh handcrafted food served with genuine hospitality. Craving prime hand-cut steaks? We've got them. Fresh salmon, halibut, or giant Mexican prawns? We've got those too. At Bennett's, we serve premium seafood and steaks in a relaxed setting. Whether you're joining us for a special night out or a casual bite, we'll treat you like family every time. Find us in Sacramento, Roseville, and Rockland. View our menus and make a reservation at bennettsrestaurants.com.
Kings Blazers tonight. Post-game show on our YouTube channel. Ryan will join me on that. If you don't like that, probably around 9:30 tonight. So, Ryan, we talked a little bit about the Kings. It's been a topic today of the moment. You know, we've been talking about what you can hang your hat on. All right, so tonight, here's what I want to hang my hat on. I don't want to go on the post-game show tonight and come on the radio at 3 o'clock on Monday talking about how the Kings didn't pick up 94 feet and didn't defend the three. And I don't want to hear the word unacceptable from Doug Christie on the post-game press conference tonight.
Okay, that's fair. What I would like to hang my hat on tonight is seeing a better showing by Dennis Schroeder. I would like to see more of what the Sacramento Kings sought him out for, which is facilitating a little bit more penetration and kicking out. And then I would also like to see the front line. I want to see Doug Christie give multiple big men the opportunity, assuming Portland's going to be playing their bigger men against size. So you can get a good gauge, because out of all the teams you play in the preseason, this is the biggest one, size-wise.
All right. Which is good. You want to go up against a team like that because, first of all, you're going to be playing them real early on in the season. So you want to get a look at some of their new players, and you want to be able to, again, I keep talking about this. The biggest concern, not the biggest concern, a concern I have is on display against Toronto. And when you're going against somebody like a Brandon Ingram and the athleticism, he just tortures Sacramento. It just seems to be such a problematic in terms of matchups.
Well, see, that's the on-ball defense. Yep. And Brandon Ingram already has an advantage with his size with the Kings. You're giving him a second advantage because somebody's got to come over to help the guy guarding the ball. So that's another thing tonight. And Grant, I just want to see better IQ from the first unit. The IQ just was not there for most of their time on the court.
Interesting you say that because, you know, with Dennis Schroeder, I would think that would improve, correct?
100%.
It wasn't there, particularly early in the game. And I thought you made a tremendous point the other day. You didn't like the first two shots of Schroeder, and I didn't either. I didn't like the way he started the game.
2 3-pointers was not the right way to start here in Sacramento. You know, guy we talked about a lot last year where we thought maybe there was some IQ to be made up, or we wanted to see more of the IQ, was Zach LaVine. I thought he played a very good game on Wednesday, and I thought his IQ was much better than last season, just in the decisions he made during that game.
Yeah, Zach's a good player. There's questions on whether he's a player that can win. Like, is he that type of player that makes other players better and that he can be, you know, a piece that really makes you into a winning team? The jury is out on that. But if you look at just individual talent, I mean, he's got that. I mean, he's gifted. He's very, very good. And he can score. Like, I mean, when Zach gets going, he's one of those players you can't really defend.
No, you can't. He can get you in both sides, and especially if he's getting calls, that is only going to help the team. It's going to help his confidence, and it allows you to pick up. Speaking of the first quarter, when you're talking about Schroeder had 2 threes, which we've already hit. DeMar DeRozan didn't have a single shot in 8 minutes and 7 seconds.
Yeah, that's not good. That's for sure. We're going to be talking football in the final segment with our picks that began last night. The Giants, of course, beat the Eagles 34-17. In London, you've got the Broncos coming off their big win against Philly, taking on a Jets team. They're the only team that has not won a game. They are 0-5. So you've got the 3-2 Broncos, the 0-5 Jets. Colts are at home at 4-1 against the Cardinals. The Chargers go on the road to South Florida to take on the Dolphins. Patriots off to a surprising now start. I think it's surprising at 3-2 against the Saints, 1 up and 4 down. Steelers home to Joe Flacco, or I should say the Browns don't have Joe Flacco anymore. Dylan Gabriel going against the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. I'll get to Joe Flacco in a moment. Cowboys and the Panthers, the Seahawks and the Jaguars. The Rams are at the Ravens. The Ravens are really struggling at 1 up and 4 down. A pair of 1-4 teams, the Titans and the Raiders. Now to Joe Flacco in Cincinnati with the Bengals. They take on the Pack at 2 up, 1 down, and a tie. Injuries all over the football field on both sides for the 49ers and the Bucks. Both teams at 4-1. Lions and the Chiefs, and a doubleheader on Monday, Bills, Falcons, Bears, Commanders. You know, Rhino, it's really too bad that there are so many key injuries for this 49ers-Buccaneers game, because I could see this being a rematch coming up in January.
Yeah, it might be a blessing too, because other guys are getting looks, and the deeper you get into the season, you need to be healthy at multiple levels of the depth chart. So you got to look at the bad and the good too.
And if Dylan Gabriel should get hurt and Shedeur Sanders comes in, it will be dissected to death over the weekend to a point where you will become nauseated.
Grant, if he gets in, the amount of takes that we're going to hear across the media, whether he plays good or where he plays bad, it will be the top story in the NFL.
It will be the top story in the NFL. You are 100% correct.
What
a winner-take-all game going on currently up in Seattle with the Mariners and the Tigers. Of course, the winner will take on the Toronto Blue Jays, bottom 2, and they are scoreless. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
You know what was so interesting was what Chris Landry had to say about Sanders.
Yes. Yep. And he is spot on. He did a whole podcast on the subject. He's very well informed. Again, I go back to the real basics. It's called common sense, and there's not enough common sense that's used in our society anymore. Common sense is this. If Kevin Stefanski, the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, thought that Shedeur Sanders could win him games, which would preserve his job and continue his tenure with the Browns, Shedeur Sanders would be on the field. Now, is it possible that he's making a mistake? Yes, it is possible. But if he truly felt that Sanders was his best option to win games, Sanders would be on the field, period.
You would think so.
I know so. There's not a coach in football that is not going to put their best player on the field at quarterback if they feel that that player can win them games, because the reason why Kevin Stefanski is in this occupation was to become a head coach. And now that he's a head coach, he doesn't want to get fired. Well, if he loses, he's going to get fired. So if you put a player on the field that could make him a winner, that would get him a new contract, which would continue his occupation as head coach in the NFL. It's a pretty simple formula. It's called common sense.
Yes, it is. And Chris Landry also said that it was an owner's pick. Stefanski didn't want him really as a player. So I don't know. I wonder how much that leads to how much of a look the player gets in practice. These guys already get very, very limited reps unless you're the starter. So it's difficult to say, right? Does Stefanski really know what Sanders can do besides the 2 preseason games?
Based on the people that I've talked to around the NFL and hearing from Chris Landry, it's a pretty uniform feeling on Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that Kevin Stefanski is standing on an island on this one.
I trust Chris Landry too. He is incredible.
Now, that doesn't mean that Sanders can't be a good player in the NFL, and it doesn't mean that Sanders won't be a starting quarterback in the NFL at some point in time. That's not what anyone's saying. We're just saying right now he's not ready for it.
And the way this thing has played out really isn't a huge surprise because of everything that comes along with the last name Sanders, what you saw happen at Colorado. I mean, Grant, you could not, if you were a scout, what other coach would you ask about his play that isn't a Sanders? There's not really many. And Pat Shurmur, maybe the offensive coordinator, well, he was kind of just there as the offensive coordinator. Shedeur was calling the plays. And it's just really hard because he's always been coached by the same people all the way through.
Very, very good point. All right. A great segment coming up in the sense that it enables one of us to brag on Monday, our picks and your chance to win a $100 gift card from Bennett's Restaurants. That's right. Our NFL picks. And I want to let you know going to break, there are all kinds of different sports books out there with odds. We use DraftKings. So in order for everyone to have the same point spread, because we're picking against the number, you need to go to DraftKings and use their odds because the spreads have to be uniform when you make your picks. All right. So if you're going to get involved, and we appreciate you getting involved, you must go and use the point spreads and the betting odds from DraftKings. We're not betting. All right. That's not what we're doing. We're having fun, but the winner will get a gift card courtesy of Bennett's Restaurants. That's coming up next right here, the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Sacramento.
Fox Sports traffic as we take one final look at the roadways. Normal rush hour delays are still in pretty high gear throughout the entire Sacramento area. Just a reminder that we do have a 56-hour freeway ramp closure happening this weekend. So if you do head out and about, give yourself some ample time to work your way through those ramp closures on US 50. Still heavy rush hour delays exist throughout all of the Sacramento area. The good news is we're not reporting any accidents or disabled vehicles on the main thoroughfares. With Twice an Hour traffic, I'm Andy Bass for Fox Sports Sacramento.
For nearly all of us, our home is our biggest investment. And just as important as what it looks like on the outside is what is happening on the inside. How long has it been since you had your home's electrical integrity checked? Whether your home is 10 or more years old or even a newer build, the safe rule of thumb is to get the electrical inspected at least every 5 years. At Gabrud's, electrical work is all we do. We're the area's recognized experts. Panel replacements, whole house fans, generators, solar, and more. But home inspections are what we do most often. Whether you have a difficult electrical situation or it's just time to ensure your home and family are safe, call locally owned Gabrud's for our thorough 12-point expert inspection. Gabrud's, serving our Northern California neighbors for more than 30 years. Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S.
Call the good dudes at Gabrud's, G-U-B-R-U-D-S, Gabrud's.com.
After the mildest summer in decades, the fall is here. It's time for back to school, football, and wearing sweats around the house. And for homeowners, the end of summer means it's time to call Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort to schedule a heating and air system inspection. With California's insane energy prices, it's critical to make sure your system is running efficiently. Sierra Pacific's heating and air techs will thoroughly inspect and tune up your system so it runs like new. And if you own an older home, Sierra Pacific does complete HVAC system replacements. And if the cost of a new heating and air system for the house seems out of reach, Sierra Pacific offers flexible financing options so that you can start enjoying the benefits of your new heating and air system this winter. Sierra Pacific Home and Comfort. SierraPacificHome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air. The guys in the big red trucks.
Downtown Ford of Sacramento is celebrating the fall by getting you equipped for a winter road trip. And if you're headed up 50 or 80 into those gorgeous Sierras, get there safely in a new or certified pre-owned 4x4 from Downtown Ford. Our lot on Howe Avenue is loaded with super clean pre-owned trucks and SUVs ready for the snow. F-150s, Rangers, Explorers, and the super hot Ford Maverick. And if there's a particular type of vehicle you've dreamed of owning someday, Downtown Ford probably has a used version of that same vehicle for a substantially lower price. Downtown Ford backs our pre-owned vehicles with an available 10-year, 100,000-mile extended service contract. We're the oldest Ford dealership in California, and we're super proud of our heritage of providing great American Ford cars and trucks to the people of Sacramento for more than a century. Visit us online at downtownfordsacramento.com.
Brad Gazan on Atlanta United. We know everyone has a ritual, a habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance. But what do you do to keep your head in the game? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body. It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Find resources at georgia.loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Yes, it is that time of the week. But first, we want to announce our winner from last week and the winner of a $100 gift card from Bennett's Restaurants. Scott McElroy, congratulations. You have won a $100 gift card from Bennett's. Now remember, You can send your picks to both me and Rhino. Put both of our handles from X on there, all right? And then you make your picks using the odds from DraftKings. Rhino, we were both 2-2 last week, correct?
Yes, but you still, based off your record the previous 2 weeks, get to pick. By the way, let me chime in on the picks. Grant and I are going to release our picks together on the same thread. So all you got to do is respond to that one after the show.
Perfect. Who goes first today, you or me?
That is you. You have the honors, my friend.
Niners at Bucks. Bucks are without their top 2 wide receivers, without a running back, and all of their wins have been by a whisker. The Niners also banged up. Looks like Jennings is going to be back on the field. Mac Jones is expected to start. You know what? The Niners are like the Bucks. They find ways to win, and even if they don't, with the way the Bucks have played this year, I'll take the 3.5. Give me the Niners plus 3.5 at Tampa.
All right. Last year in this one, it took a miracle Hail Mary. It was like Jaden Daniels arriving here in the NFL. I am going to the Bears and the Commanders. Here's the deal. Jaden Daniels, he's getting back. He's healthy. But what it comes down to for me is Washington leads the NFL in 156.4 yards rushing per game. And Grant, guess who's the worst in the NFL at defending the rush? It's Chicago. Give me the Commanders minus 4.5.
All right. Cowboys are at the Carolina Panthers. The one thing that Dallas has been able to do this year is they've been able to score even without CeeDee Lamb. I am not at all looking at the Panthers as a team that I can take seriously. I hope I'm wrong on this pick, and I'm going to put the whammy on them. I'm taking Dallas minus 3 at Carolina.
You know, Carolina has been at their best when they're home.
Yes. I'm picking Dallas minus 3, hoping that they lose. Go ahead.
This is going to surprise some people. I am going to the AFC North, a team we were just talking about that's got a quarterback by the last name Sanders that is officially the second string quarterback. Browns and Steelers. These are always close games. These are defensive games. I don't mind what Dylan Gabriel did last week. That Cleveland defense, if they can get after Aaron Rodgers, it could make for a very clunky offensive game for the Steelers. I am taking the Browns, who are 1-4. Give me the 5.5 points.
All right. New England at New Orleans. Patriots off to a good start at 3-2. The Saints took advantage of 5 Giants turnovers to get their first win last week. The Patriots, May has played well. The Patriots with Mike Vrabel, I like what Vrabel does as a head coach. The Patriots are giving 3.5. I think they're going to flat out beat the Saints. I think they'll beat them by a touchdown or more. Give me the Patriots on the road, minus 3.5 over the New Orleans Saints.
Man, one of the best places I have ever visited, Lambeau Field. Such a great place. Didn't get to see a game, but the history, that city being built, small town feel around this giant historic stadium. The Bengals and the Packers. Napes, the Bengals. Joe Flacco now going to be under center for them. Flat out, the offense has been horrible, yet you still have good talent on the outside. The Packers, who are 2-1-1 so far this season, coming off of that tie in Dallas, a really bad defensive performance. I expect the Packers to be better, but I don't expect them to be better by the tune of minus 14.5. I am going to take the Bengals and the 14.5.
Yeah, that is a lot of points. The team that you root for, the Seattle Seahawks, are at Jacksonville. And I'm looking at teams that win on Monday night. They normally don't follow it up the following week. This being a non-conference game, Jags, if they're going to have a little bit of a letdown, I think it will be this week. I like Seattle. I think they're a really good team. They lost a heartbreaker at home to Tampa, but they're solid both on offense and defense. The Jaguars are favored by 1.5 in this game. You know what? I'm going to take the road team here. I'm going to take Seattle. I'll give you 1.5, Jacksonville. Give me the Seattle Seahawks to flat out win this game by at least a field goal at Jacksonville.
I love that. Is it 1.5?
Yep.
No, it's the Seahawks.
Yeah, the Seahawks are -1.5.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Sorry, not trying to double cross the
No
boss
problem.
here. All right, for my last game, I am going to Kansas City. The Lions, atop Grant's NFL top 5 right now. They have played very well since week 1. Sonic and Nichols, a balanced attack. Both have scored a touchdown, I believe, in the last 2 weeks. The Chiefs have not looked right. They're coming off of a big loss, a short week too, playing Jacksonville on Monday night. You're going to give me the Lions in 2.5 points? I will take it. This is going to be the Lions' statement victory that says the AFC, as of right now, comes through Detroit.
I agree with you. All right, so let me review the picks. All right, I've got San Francisco +3.5. I've got Seattle -1.5. I've got New England -3.5, and I've got Dallas -3. Those are my 4 picks this week.
I have the Commanders -4.5. I've got the, as I get my notebook out of the way, the Browns -5.5. I have the Bengals +14.5, and the Lions +2.5.
Did you say notebook? What is that? What's a notebook?
It's just this piece of paper I keep in front of me. It's usually blank. I just had it for our picks.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with the notebook, either when I was in school or even now as a older adult. Notebook. What a notebook? Notebook.
No wonder you got those knuckles beat a few times with that ruler. Napier,
You know how many
get your
times-
notebook out.
You know how many times I went to this class and I forgot my notebook, or I didn't have a pen, or I was not a model student, Rhino. I was not a model student.
Grant, you're the reason why teachers keep extra supplies now. And bless you, teachers. I know you're on a short budget. Bless you that spend your own money on supplies.
Yeah. That's great. All right, I love doing this. And again, here's the deal. Let's review this for the folks, because a lot of times people are doing other things when they're listening, and sometimes they're not hearing what we're saying. You must go to DraftKings and use their numbers, because if you go to different sports books, they have different lines. All right, and then you drive us crazy. So use DraftKings odds, and then, as Ryan said, we'll put our picks out on social media together, and you respond to that and give us your 4 picks. It's that simple.
Let's go.
And Bennett's $100
Yes.
gift card. How's that for you?
Get fed. I was talking to Margot, the general manager at Howe and Fair Oaks, and she said a couple of the winners have already been in. They had a great time, and $100 at Bennett's. I don't know if there's another restaurant I'd want to go to with $100.
It's awesome.
Being honest.
Love it. Absolutely awesome. You know what else is awesome? And that is Village Financial Group. And I love talking about people that I've known for a long time, especially when it's a family-owned business. And that's Spencer, broker owner at Village Financial Group. And whether it's a home equity line of credit, maybe you're selling a home, you're buying a home, remember that Spencer is a really, really creative financing specialist. And he has access to private money. You can call or, hey, send him a text. He's fine with that. 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. And go on their website, vfgloans.com, and you'll find over 9,000 properties available for purchase. Be sure and call for the investor special as well. It makes sense to call Spence at 916-805-4868. That's 916-805-4868. Village Financial Group, looking out for your best interest. And remember, tonight, following the Kings game, all right? Following the Kings game, I will be doing the post-game show with Rhino. Can't wait. That's going to be on our YouTube channel if you don't like that. And we're going to be coming on roughly between 9:15 and 9:30. So looking forward to that right after the Kings and the Blazers tonight. We've got college football tomorrow that I talked about extensively yesterday with Chris Landry from LandryFootball.com. A couple of the real big games. Obviously, you have two top 10 teams with Indiana at Oregon. All right, so I'm not a believer in Indiana. I'm sorry. I'm just not. If they beat Oregon tomorrow or they're right in the game at the end, I'll change my opinion on Indiana. But right now, and maybe it's just the stereotype of Indiana. Like when I think of Indiana and the Hoosiers, I don't think football. I'm always thinking basketball. Maybe that's part of my problem. But I'm just not a believer. Yeah, I know they demolished Illinois, but I'm not a real firm believer in Illinois either. All right. So I'm looking at the schedule tomorrow, and that's a game I will definitely be watching. I'm looking forward to it. And another game I want to watch, Alabama is at Mizzou, number 8 against number 14. So those are the two games. And then, of course, the Red River rivalry. Even though Texas is unranked, it's the game. It's Oklahoma. It's Texas at the Cotton Bowl. And I love watching that annual matchup. So those are the three games that I've got my eye on. Number 1 is Indiana at Oregon. The second game is Alabama at Missouri. And the third game is Oklahoma and Texas. Now, I know a lot of people would say, well, Napes, what about number 1, Ohio State at number 17, Illinois? I think Ohio State will win that game. I don't know if it will be a complete blowout in Champaign, but I think Ohio State will control that game. So those are some of the real big games coming up tomorrow in college football. If there are any others that you want to point out, feel free to send me a message, and I'll be happy to answer you. But those are some of the games and the main games that I'm looking for in college football. And last night, of course, the NFL got off to a start with a big upset with the Giants, not only beating the Eagles, but beating them rather easily at 34-17. And the Eagles, we talked a lot about the Giants today because of our local product from Rio Linda in Cam Scatterbo. But, the Eagles got some issues here. The Eagles got some problems, right? Think about what they've done this year. They were down 19 at home against the Rams, right? They got very, very lucky in the game against Tampa, down in Tampa, that they won. They lose to Denver last week, and then they lose last night to the Giants and don't look good doing so. And I'm just wondering if this is the Philadelphia Eagles team of a couple of years ago, following their Super Bowl loss to Kansas City, where they just disintegrated in the middle of the season. They were like the best team in football through the first part of the season, and then they became invisible, and they were terrible. And I'm just wondering if that's the trend that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go through now. Offensively, they're not in sync. They are not able to come up with the big play defensively. Hurts had a big opportunity last night on a blown coverage by the Giants that from deep in their own territory, they should have had a pitch and catch 90-yard touchdown or thereabouts, and Jalen Hurts overthrew the intended receiver. Things are just not going well for Philadelphia. It was not a good night for the Philadelphia sports fan as the Phillies lost with an error in the bottom of the 11th. The Flyers lost their opener, and then, of course, the Eagles got embarrassed by the Giants. Wow, we're at the weekend. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Thank you so much for your contributions this week. Don't forget, tonight after the Kings Blazers, our YouTube channel. If you don't like that, we'll have the post-game show. Hey, make it a great weekend. Go out and enjoy yourself. All right? Watch football. Have fun. Do what you got to do. And join me Monday at 3 o'clock when I'm back here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Bye-bye. Hey, it's Grant Napear for DAS Mechanical, HVAC retrofit and service specialist. They also do new systems. And now that the calendar has hit October, You're probably not rushing to grab your sweaters and jackets just yet, but before long, it will get chilly. Will your heater work to your satisfaction? Well, right now at DAS Mechanical, they have a $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup. So take advantage of this early by going to dasmechanical.org. That's dasmechanical.org. Whether it's for your home or business, with amazing financing options available, including 0% interest for 18 months, this family-owned and operated business since 2018 will take care of your heating and air needs. Take advantage of this $69 pre-winter maintenance checkup now. Go online, dasmechanical.org. You can schedule online, look at their 5-star reviews. That's dasmechanical.org.
Ready to turn your idle equipment into cash? Purple Wave Auction is your solution. We specialize in no-reserve online auctions, bringing nationwide buyers to your doorstep. From excavators to dozers, we'll market your assets to a vast audience of eager buyers. No hauling required. We photograph and list your equipment where it sits. Experience our transparent and simple process with expert support. Join successful sellers who trust Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com today to learn how easy selling can be.
Hi, it's Margot from Bennett's Restaurants. The holidays may feel far away, but the best dates are filling fast. At Bennett's, we make every celebration effortless. Host your holiday parties in our elegant private dining rooms, or let us bring the chef-crafted catering right into your home or office. From family dinners to company parties, our team delivers the flavors, service, and holiday magic your guests will remember. Secure your holiday celebration today with Bennett's at bennettsrestaurants.com.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Grant's back. Join the conversation every weekday afternoon beginning at 3 p.m. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento. Beginning at 3 right here. KSAC 890 AM Olivehurst, K284CM 104.7 FM Sacramento.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Grant's back, and here to win. It's the Grant Napear Show on Fox Sports Radio Sacramento. Now, Grant Napear.
And a good afternoon. We wrap up the week right here on Fox Sports Sacramento. Friday means a big football week, but it also means Sacramento Kings as they are in the Pacific Northwest. They take on the Blazers this evening, and we'll see if they can have a better showing than they did 48 hours ago at home in an ugly performance against the Toronto Raptors. So we'll talk about that as well. Rhino and yours truly will have our 4 NFL picks, and we'll announce the winner of this week's $100 gift card from Bennett's. We'll have our 4 picks in hour number 3, and then you can give us your 4 picks via social media. We'll tell you how to do it, and maybe next week you will be receiving a $100 gift card from Bennett's Restaurants. So I did a rant on this morning. Last night, the New York Giants beat the Philadelphia Eagles 34-17 in what I really looked at as the most optimistic, energized use all the adjectives that you want. Uplifting. As a lifelong Giants fan and a very tough period of time since the Giants won the last Super Bowl in 2011, only one playoff win during that time, and they've been really bad with a revolving door of coaches and bringing in a new general manager or managers, new quarterbacks. You know, it's been a mess. And last night, and I saw it against the Chargers, and even though the Giants turned the ball over 5 times last week in the game against the New Orleans Saints, I saw glimpses of what I thought could be a franchise quarterback in Jackson Dart. And then after watching him play last night against the Philadelphia Eagles, which I thought was a near perfect game, and the excitement and the energy in that stadium is something that I have not seen in a long, long time. And then, of course, you have Rio Linda's Cam Scatterbo, who was at Sacramento State before going to Arizona State. And he has already become a folk hero. He's already become somebody that is a household name in the sports world of New York. All right. I guarantee you that in all the office buildings and the streets of New York today, the talk is about Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. Guarantee it. It's all over the tabloids. It is all over talk radio. It is now a city that has been starving for something to hang their hat on, because the Jets are an embarrassment. The Giants have been an embarrassment, and you finally have hope. And so I wanted to talk about this from a Sacramento perspective, and I want to ask you if you can draw a parallel, not yet, but hopefully in a couple of weeks or months. So you had Jackson Dart, who didn't really step onto the field other than a snapper here. You had him on the sidelines for 3 weeks. You had Cam Scatterbo, who was used sparingly in the first couple of games. You had their number one running back go down with a shoulder injury, which turned around the depth chart at running back for the New York Giants. Enter number 44, Cam Scatterbo, who runs over people, runs through people, and regardless of whether he was on the Giants or the Raiders or the 49ers or the Bears, that type of player becomes an instant fan favorite. Doesn't matter where he would have been drafted and where he would have ended up playing. He would become an instant fan favorite because he plays the game the way a fan wants to see the game played. All out, with pizzazz, with energy, with flair. And, oh yeah, one other thing, he's really, really good. And so I'm watching the game last night as somebody that's been watching New York Giant football since I